Hello everybody. Today I'm going to be playing something a little bit different. Ooh, 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 ooh. We're about to get a little bit more refined, a little bit fancier than we normally am. I can play with the controller. Okay. Come over here. Would I like some narration? I feel like I got the narration. Ooh, it just got a little bit louder. G'day, Matt. Screen Australia, this is. Introduction. William Shakespeare. 1564 to whenever he died. Hey, Vamp. We should have had narration. Oh, you want narration? I can do that. Yeah, I can have narration. Hello, Vamp. How are we doing? Change font to dyslexic? There we go. Let's turn that on. Okay. Alright, yeah, narration would be funny. Alright, let's listen to it. Alright? Those of you who may not know what this game actually is, it's a pretty simple game. It's Shakespeare. It's the story of... I think it's Hamlet's story. However, this game does do things a little bit different. It's a choose-your-own-adventure game. And I'm going to look at making some of the dumbest decisions, obviously with your help. Yes. It should be good. So, back to the story.
William Shakespeare, 1564 AD to whenever he died, was well known for borrowing from existing literature when writing his plays. Romeo and Juliet is pretty much lifted entirely from Arthur Brooks' poem, The Tragical History of Romulus and Juliet. He didn't even change the names. And as recent Shakespeare scholarship has established, the famed play William Shakespeare Presents
let me see if I can...
was lifted wholesale from the...
The music's also very loud. Is there a way that I can change some of the audio settings? Turn music off, I guess. As much as I like the music, I feel like it's just a little bit too... I love upshoot. Okay, alright. Hopefully this should be interesting. Yeah, we'll see if we can help get some...
William Shakespeare, 1564 AD to whenever he died, was well known for borrowing from existing literature when writing his plays. Romeo and Juliet is pretty much lifted entirely from Arthur Brooks' poem, The Tragical History of Romulus and Juliet. Dude didn't even change the names. And as recent Shakespeare scholarship has established, the famed play William Shakespeare Presents Hamlet was lifted wholesale from the volume you are about to enjoy. To Be or Not to Be. To Be or Not to Be is both the earliest recorded example of the books as game genre, as well as the first instance ever in the then newish English language that was kicking around of an adventure being chosen by you, the reader. We've gone ahead and added illustrations, plus we've taken the liberty of marking with tiny York skulls the choices Shakespeare himself made when he plagiarized his book back in olden times. They're there in case you wish to put yourself in Shakespeare's shoes, reading this book as he did, stealing plot elements wholesale, and classing up the language as he/you went/go. However, that is not the only way to read this book. Feel free to explore your other options, as each time you read this book, you can go on a different adventure. Assuming you don't read the book like 3 quadrillion times, at which point the adventures will start to repeat, and they'll probably seem pretty familiar long before then anyway. Now, take yourself back to history, when ghosts walked the earth and nobody knew velociraptors were even a thing. Steel yourself to experience the magic of Shakespeare as it was meant to be experienced, in a non-deterministic narrative structure, where you end up thinking maybe you made a wrong decision, so you mark the pages you were just on, so you can always go back and make a different
Shakespeare plagiarizing work? Yeah.
To be or not to be. That.
It's what he would do is he would take already established stories and turn them into a play, and he would write a play from that. Okay, do we choose our character, or do we just go into something like, man, what if I just read the acknowledgements instead? Well, you, you can't tell me what to do, smart guy. I'm just gonna keep reading. What do we do? Yeah. Like, yeah. So a lot of the stuff, like Romeo and Juliet, is a poem. Taming the Shrew is something else. So it's not stealing, it's remastering. Yeah. That's what he means. It's like plagiarizing. So he's just taken aspects of an already established story and changing things around a little bit. Yeah. You should say, fuck this narrator. Yeah, alright, we're gonna do it. Yeah, alright, let's go.
Whoa, slow down there, cowboy. At the end of that last bit, you were supposed to make a choice, and then jump to the page that reflects that choice. Instead of following those instructions, you just kept reading what came next like this is an ordinary book. This book is crazy insane. How are you even acting like this is an ordinary book?
Lego writing.
You die without even having chosen your character. The end. And your final score is maybe learn to read books better sometime. Out of 1,000.
Okay, alright. Alright, let's not fuck with the narrator too much, alright?
That's not a very good score, I gotta say.
Oh no. Okay. Wait, let me try this page show anything again. Okay. Surely I just debate him, right? Surely? I mean, surely. There might be something in here if we debate. Read acknowledgements? Okay. No one comes back.
Book comes together without an author feeling like Thon's in debt to someone. Thanks to Metafilter for all the terrific advice on how to dispose of a body and not get caught.
What?
Spoiler alert, there are murders in this book. They have a page just about this, did you know that? They're one of the top search results for how to dispose of a body. And I guess also thanks to the Canadian Security Intelligence Service for not getting me in trouble, yet. After I ran all those searches for how to dispose of a body. And I want to know how to get rid of a dead human body. And gross dead body, plus how to hide it. And what if I committed the murder act? How do I ditch the body and not go to jail? It's an emergency. Thanks also to Chef Michael Smith, Emily Horn, and William Shakespeare for the stew recipe. Spoiler alert, you can learn to make stew in this book too. It's not always all the time.
That's good.
For the expansive knowledge of boats and the
I always wanted to know how to make stew.
Spoiler alert, play your cards right in this book, and you just might gain command of a pirate ship. Just be cool. And for ripping me off and making this book so famous. But which thank you applies to which person? That is for you to decide. Yes, even here in this acknowledgement parenthetical, it's up to you to choose your own adventure.
What?
But I mean, come on, it's pretty obvious. Thanks to all my artist friends who drew all these pretty pictures in the book. You've made death into a visually stunning treat. And thanks to Chrissy Calhoun for copy editing this book and fixing all my dumb mistakes. Any that remain, I added in afterwards because of brain problems. Finally, thanks to Joey Camo for his skills at chess, Ray Fox for his skills at Mad Libs, my extremely awesome wife Jen for being extremely awesome, and to my brother, Victor, who confirmed over walkie-talkie that the idea for this book was rad. And thanks to you
yes,
for buying this book.
It was extremely literal.
That took initiative.
I don't know what you were expecting.
You get to continue enjoying reading this book. Okay, I'm ready now. I will choose my character.
Okay.
No. I'd rather read more acknowledgements. You know what? I want to know more about the author before I commit to anything. You know what? I want to be the author before I commit to anything.
I'd rather read more acknowledgements. You know what? I want to know more about the author before I commit to anything. I kind of want to be the author. Be Shakespeare. So you're saying be Shakespeare? So the fourth option, is that what I'm understanding? We're going with number 4? I don't know. I kind of want to... I want to know what it's like to be the author.
You are now Ryan North. This is weird.
Oh. Hey
So
guys.
listen,
It's me,
I
Ryan.
just had the idea to write a book where you can play as Hamlet or Ophelia, or even the Ghost.
Okay.
Right now, the book exists as mere potential. On one hand, you can make it happen, but it'll take months of work. On the other hand, ideas are like chest hairs. You have so many of them that it's hard to get attached to any one in particular. Plus, new ones are popping up all the time. You go
Okay.
skateboarding to decide what to do.
Fuck.
You're getting mad air while pulling off some insanely rad skateboard tricks while also munching on pizza. It hits you. Writing this book is something you want to do.
Yeah.
You say goodbye to all the babes and go home to write. Almost a year later, you write the last ending for the last version of reality you've chosen to put in this book. It's done. It's a pretty solid first draft.
I'm pretty happy with my
Months
job.
after that,
Are you guys proud of me?
Smushed it into a pretty solid second draft. And
This
then
guy's
months
just-
after that, a totally rad final draft.
It's just
All
so
that's left
it's
now
so
is to do
nuts
a
being
final
Ryan.
read over to make sure there are no typos, inconsistencies, or errors. You grab some snacks, sit down, and bring your draft so close to your face that you can't really see anything else. And then you start reading. These are the words you read.
These are the words that I read.
You have just been born.
Oh.
Congratulations. Good
Thank
work
you.
on that thing. Now, surprise, babies are boring, so we're going to jump ahead in time to a point where you're an adult and you've already lived a bunch of your life.
Aw.
But I promise most of what we're skipping over was really dull.
Okay.
You ate a lot and slept a lot and made some friends, tears were shed, makeouts were totally had.
Oh, yeah.
It was
Yeah,
a
it
bunch
did.
of high school stuff. The awesome stuff starts now.
Oh, okay. Here we go. The
So-
awesome stuff.
Let's begin, my friend.
All right.
Remind me again who you are. Are
Ryan.
you Ophelia? She's an awesome lady in her late 20s with a calm, competent, and resourceful demeanor. She's got a +1 bonus to science, but she's also got a -1 weakness against water, so heads up. Hamlet? He's an emo teen in his early 30s. Also, he's the Prince of Denmark. Hamlet has a +1 resistance to magic, but there's no magic in this adventure, so this never gets mentioned again as of right now. Hamlet Sr.? He's the king of Denmark, 50 years old. He's super good at fighting and leading men into battle in naps. Let's say +1.
Yeah, it was a
each.
really good song.
Look, bottom line, he's an unstoppable
I-
machine of death. And should you choose to be him, you may experience
Not to mention.
kingly glory.
Oh, shit.
Play as Ophelia.
Hey, good to see
Play
you,
as
Risky.
Hamlet. Play as Hamlet Sr.
So, who do we play as? Do we want to play as the chick who gets -1 to water? Hamlet, who gets a +1 to magic. But there's no magic in this story, so it's useless. So we play as Hamlet Senior, which, if you're familiar with Hamlet, you know that's definitely an option. So what I don't know what we're feeling. We're feeling Ophelia, Hamlet, or Hamlet Senior. Yeah, but sure, we're playing something a little bit different today. The easiest way I can kind of describe it is it's a choose your own adventure story from Shakespeare stories. So, yeah, we just get to like pick our own, like the way the story actually progresses. The little skull is what Shakespeare recommends. So we go as Hamlet. We'll try to, you reckon for the first playthrough, just so everyone can get an understanding of the story, we go relatively normal story route. So that way we can, if people aren't familiar with this story, they will be able to understand when she goes dumb. I reckon that might be an idea. Let's go with Hamlet. What is Hamlet's going to say?
You are Hamlet.
Oh.
You're 30 years old and you're back living at home.
Hi,
It's
Hamlet.
okay, because your home is a castle. That's right, ladies. You're a prince.
Oh,
Things have been rough lately. You had been trying to focus on your studies at Wittenberg University, where you and your bros, Horatio Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, all hang out. But you were called home because your father died. Then, your dead dad's brother, Claudius, married your mom, Gertrude, 2 weeks later. Yep, it's made you kind of
death the
upset.
story,
You
basically.
raced home to comfort her, but she's married your uncle, and that is weird.
That's pretty weird.
You feel weird.
Weird.
Right now, you're in the audience chamber of your father's castle, here in sunny Denmark. King Claudius is here, addressing his court. Laertes and Polonius are here, too. Laertes is kind of a jerk, and Polonius is his father. Polonius is also the father of Ophelia, whom you're totally sweet on. She's not here, though. Who
Oh.
knows what adventure she's having as we speak, while you're stuck in this drafty castle room listening to other people talk about their feelings. Speaking of speaking, just now Laertes says something about how now that Claudius is king, and he's attended the coronation, is it okay for him to go back to France? Claudius says, sure. Wait a minute. You'd love to leave too and go back to school, away from this weird incesty thing your mother's gotten herself into.
Yeah.
It's so gross and weird. Ask Claudius for permission to go back to school. Hold your tongue and just wait around.
Okay. I reckon we stick with this, and then we'll
You hold up your hand and open your mouth, but before you can say anything, Claudius addresses you directly, calling you his son.
wedge.
On the one hand, that's entirely appropriate, especially since he just married your mom like 2 weeks ago. But on the other hand, he has brought creepy uncle to new heights. Points to that, maybe? Insult him under your breath by saying you're more than kin, i.e., you're related more than once now as both father/son and uncle/nephew.
Yeah.
But less than kind, i.e., this relationship you're in is unnatural. In real life, people think up zingers like this on the spot all the time, so this totally makes sense.
Okay, so we obviously say you're not my real dad and storm out of the room. I kind of like I do want I want to keep it, you know, get what the story says. Saying that ain't right. Just look at it. I just love this is his dude. Like, you know, like, this is Hamlet, man. He's just like you can already tell he's unhappy. You're not my real dad. Alright, I kind of want to storm out of this castle. I don't think it's too unusual to do this, but... Alright, what we do is we stay...
Straight up ignores your zinger.
Oh.
Well, shoot.
Oh, okay. Oh no. Okay, well, fair enough. Damn. Dude just kind of chatty, like... Hey, Natrick.
King Claudius goes on to tell you, in so many words, to buck up, stop dressing in black, stick around for a while, and have a little fun. He says all the feelings you're having are boring and wimpy. Your mom echoes his sentiments. Dude,
Fuck.
your own mom just called you a wimp.
Wow.
You agree to stick around with Denmark.
Fuck.
They leave, and you're suddenly alone.
Jesus
You're finally
Christ.
alone, Hamlet.
Sucks
What are
being
you gonna
Hamlet.
do?
Okay, we're
Talk
fine.
to yourself about how your life is in ruins and how everything just sucks. Stand around quietly until something happens.
Alright, yeah, we're just gonna complain about how things sucks.
You talk out loud to the empty room, and what do you say? I'll tell you what you say. You say you wish your skin could literally melt off your body, revealing a skeleton that gives a double thumbs down before crumbling into dust. You say that you thought your mom really loved your dad, but now that she's married Claudius less than a month after Dad's death, either love itself is fake, or she was faking love, and either way it doesn't matter because you've lost faith in your own mother. You say to
Fuck.
the empty room, in all seriousness, that you want to kill yourself. Whoa, bro.
Jesus
This part
Christ.
just got real.
Yeah, bro. Jesus
Kill
Christ.
yourself. Don't kill yourself.
Oh. Fuck. Look, listen. We're just gonna, we're gonna
While
keep
you're busy
trucking.
doing that, your friend Horatio bumps into you and tells you, A, he's in town for your dad's funeral / mom's wedding, and that they serve leftover appetizers from one at the other. B, ghosts are real. C, he's seen one and so have a bunch of other guys. D, it keeps showing up at the same time, and E, he's pretty sure it's the ghost of your dad. Finally, some adventure, some closure. You agree that you'll come with him tonight to see the ghost when it shows up again.
That's good.
It's such an obvious decision that it kind of feels like you don't even have a choice in the matter.
Oh.
Agree to go with Horatio tonight to see the ghost when it shows up again.
Oh. It wasn't joking. I literally have no choice. That's my only choice.
I'll be there. 11:30 sharp, you say, and Horatio leaves, satisfied.
Oh shit, what
Well,
have I...
Now you have 8 hours to blow before it's time to meet ghosts.
Like,
What do you want to do, Hamlet? Be
ooh.
Ophelia for a while. Play solitaire. You, Hamlet, Prince of all Denmark, are now sitting in your bedroom and playing solitaire for hours and hours and hours and hours, which is a pretty colossally useless waste of your time, especially since you keep cheating. A 5 goes on top of a 3? Hamlet, really?
Yeah.
Anyway, at this point, we're 15 games in, and wow, if you're not careful, people might start saying that your tragic flaw is, I don't know, inaction.
Oh.
Eventually the sun goes down, and it's almost 11:30, which hopefully you remember as the appointed hour Horatio told you about, wherein a ghost keeps showing up to bother him. Time to go meet that ghost, huh?
Yeah, alright, let's meet up with
Meet
Horatio.
up with Horatio and bust some myths about actual ghosts being real.
Alright, let's go.
You and Horatio go to where he saw the ghost the first time. Now we play the
Same
wedding
color.
game, says Horatio.
It's legit, yeah.
He's interrupted by the sound of trumpets.
Same color.
You
It's
look at him and
legit.
raise an eyebrow. They make that noise to warn everyone that King Claudius is getting wasted, he says. Those trumpets go off every night around this time. He sighs.
Oh.
Denmark, he says. At that exact moment, something insanely crazy happens. What the frig?
Oh
I'll
shit.
tell you what the frig. A
Whoa.
ghost is here.
Oh.
Look, ghost.
Oh shit, ghost.
Don't freak out, but right now you're staring cold in the face of a specter. You can't even imagine how crazy this whole situation
This
is.
fucking story's got
You're
everything.
getting too scared. Read
It's
this
got
next
solitaire
chapter
and
over until
ghosts.
You're not insane with fear anymore. Everything will be okay. All right, okay, we can do this. With your last shred of sanity, you quickly glance at the ghost, and then you worry that if you stare at the ghost too hard, your brain will realize it's looking at something so insanely impossible that you'll just black out. Anyway, this ghost. You can see through it, but only a little. It's weird. And I'll tell you what the frig else. This ghost does look like your dad, and he's getting closer.
Oh, fuck. Hey, Dad.
Stare at the ghost intently and black out as your mind shuts down.
Oh.
Don't stare at the ghost too intently and try to figure out what it wants. Run away.
I don't want to black out. Let's go find out what the ghost wants.
Are you my dad? I mean, my ghost dad? You ask the ghost, but it says nothing. Instead, the ghost beckons to you. He clearly wants you to follow him and leave Horatio behind. I don't know. Is this safe? Can ghosts kill people? Can ghosts kill people? You ask Horatio. I don't know, man, but I really don't think you should be alone with that thing, he says, clearly leaving No Ball untripped in his own freakout. Hamlet, man, something is rotten in the state of Denmark. I gotta say, he yells, his quivering finger pointing at the ghost. Well, duh. I'm gonna do it, you say, and you follow the ghost into darkness.
Alright.
Go on to say, by that I mean, I'm going to take this.
Okay. So we got to follow the ghost into the darkness.
You follow the ghost into the mist. After walking for what seems like forever, you get tired of walking. I'm tired of walking, you say. You sit down. Sure, I'm done walking. Yeah, I'm out. The ghost stops and speaks to you for the first time.
It's a little
His voice
redundant.
issuing forth from lungs that no longer breathe air.
It's a little
Hamlet,
redundant.
It is I, your father.
Oh.
Look, I can't stay around here forever, so you need to listen to what I tell you. I didn't die of old age. I did some digging around, and it turns out I was murdered. By Claudius.
You gasp, shocked and enraged. Killed by his own brother.
He did it while I slept. I was walking in a garden, and you know how gardens are really boring, right?
Yeah.
You nod.
Hmm.
They're boring even for people who like them.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Oh.
said the dad. Well, it was so boring I fell asleep. And while I was sleeping, he poured poison in my ear.
Oh, fucking
No
L.
poisons work that way, you say.
Yeah, I don't think that
That's
works.
what I said.
Shouts your dad, throwing his hands above his head in frustration. He starts to pace back and forth.
Anyway, I want you to take revenge on him for me. I don't know. Cuss him out or something. Pull out his chair when he's about to sit down. Offer him a high five. But then when he goes to high five you, pull your hand away and say,
That's
"Too
just,
slow."
that's
Or
cruel.
should he offer you a high five, you must leave him hanging.
Oh, that's so mean.
I could murder him, you offer. After all, he is sleeping with Mom. Your dad stops pacing and stares at you.
He's what?
Tell him they got married 2 weeks after the funeral.
Oh, I don't know.
Tell him, ha, you were just kidding.
Oh. Hey, Dad, I got some bad news. So, yeah, your brother, like, just, yeah. Man just fed you an L and then fucked your wife. So, I'm just gonna have to tell him straight on.
You say they got married basically right after the funeral, and that makes Claudius king now. You explain how maybe it's not technically incest, but the timing alone sure feels squicky.
Didn't he ever read the Table of Kindred and Affinity, wherein whosoever are related are forbidden in Scripture and are laws to marry together?
Asks your dad. Ah, you say. You refer to the document Queen Elizabeth ordered produced, which says a marriage such as this one we're discussing is not just squicky, but a real-life hardcore sin against God. A book which later made its way into the Book of Common Prayer, itself so influential that we take many phrases such as, "till death do us part," and "peace in our time" from it?
The very same.
Nods your father.
Although I can't imagine that in the future, sentiments might change as to whether or not such a marriage between genetically unrelated, loving, and consenting adults is among the very worst things that is possible for a human being to do that's not necessary for us to discuss right now.
You agree,
Anyway,
says your dad.
kill Claudius for me.
All right, bro.
Promise a ghost you'll commit murder.
Yeah.
Promise a ghost you'll commit murder in the classiest verse you can come up with.
Oh, fuck yeah, we're gonna drop this. We're gonna drop some bars.
You clear your throat, hold one hand open in the air in front of you, and promise a ghost that you will kill an alive human. This is what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Yea, from the table of my memory, I'll wipe away all trivial fond records, all saws of books, all forms, all pressures past. that youth and observation copied,
Yeah.
and thy commandment all alone shall live, within the book and volume of my brain, unmixed with baser matter. Yes, by heaven.
Hey, Scar.
Your ghost dad seems pretty cool with that. You have begun quest Kill Claudius.
Oh,
It's worth
shit.
3,500 experience
That's
points.
a lot of XP.
That's a lot.
Oh, it is. Yeah,
Leave
yeah.
it there and return to Horatio.
Fuck.
Throw in a little sexism for good measure.
Oh. Yeah, alright. A little bit of sexism for good. Yeah, alright. Sounds good. Yeah. Alright.
Oh, most pernicious woman, you add. Insulting
What do you
not
mean? How'd you
only
destroy
Queen
him?
Gertrude, the woman your father adored, loved, and married, but also all women in general. Science Corner. Synonyms for pernicious include noxious and pestilent, and the word itself suggests that long-term harm comes from being in contact with whatever. it's
Oh,
being
shit,
administered.
Scar.
Stay classy, Hamlet.
Helping out our boy Redney.
Leave it there and return to Horatio.
Stay classy. Yeah, leave it. Okay, alright. Let's go back to Horatio.
You walk back to where Horatio is waiting for you.
Hey, bro.
Listen, Horatio. Never speak of this whole "we totally saw a ghost" thing, okay? We've got to keep it a secret.
That's a lot, bro.
That's cool, says Horatio. No, I'm serious, man, you say, grabbing his shoulders. Some really serious stuff is going to go down, and I need you to keep this a secret. Swear that you'll never talk about this. I swear, says Horatio.
Alright, thanks,
Swear
bro.
it.
Booms your dad's voice out of nowhere. He already did, you shout. Horatio looks at you questioning. Hamlet, bro, what's this all about? He says. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, you begin. Than are dreamt of in my philosophy, Horatio finishes, annoyed. Fine. Right, whatever. Okay. Horatio will keep your secret, and you've got a quest from a ghost to fulfill. And at the end, he'll probably give you some cool loot for completing it. Maybe? I mean, it's possible.
Yeah, alright.
Anyway, it's past midnight, and Claudius is probably falling down drunk. What now?
Okay.
Say goodbye to Horatio and go kill Claudius. Go home for nappy times.
Go home for some nappy times. Fuck, alright. Yeah, alright. Let's
You
fucking...
go home and nap. The next morning it rains, so you don't leave your room. Then the next morning after that, the ground is all muddy,
Oh.
and you think maybe you'd leave footsteps that could be traced back to you. And anyway, long story short, several days have gone by and you haven't done a thing.
Oh.
To continue doing nothing for another several days, return to the top of this page and read it again. Well, enough's enough. Time to go murder Claudius. Go see Ophelia. She's smart. Maybe she has some ideas on how to commit some good murders.
Okay. So, we can continue doing nothing for another several days, return to the top of the page and read it again. We'll go see what Ophelia's going to say.
You go down to Ophelia's place and knock on her door. Who is it? She calls. It's me, sweetie.
He does all the
Saying,
voices.
Opening the door and stepping into her room. You haven't seen each other for a while. It's so great to see her. You run up and throw your arms around her and you kiss. It's just like old times. You hold her at arm's length and look into her eyes. Listen, you say, and then you... Go murder Claudius.
Fuck.
Go on to say, I need your help with something. Unbutton your jacket, foul your stockings, take your garters off and grab Ophelia by the wrist.
Go kill my uncle. Say I need help with something. Or get laid. I'm getting laid.
Okay. You do
Oh.
that. Ophelia looks confused during this whole production. What's wrong, Hamlet? She says, concerned. Why are you fouling your stockings?
What?
Tell her you don't know why you're doing that, apologize, and ask her to help with murdering your uncle.
Hmm.
You know what? This is not going as well as I'd hoped. Tell Ophelia you don't know why you're wasting your time either. Excuse yourself and go murder Claudius. Continue holding her wrist and move your other hand to your forehead as if you might faint while staring at her intensely.
So, hold on. So, we're holding onto her wrist. And then I hold the other hand to the forehead and stare at them intensely. So, you just... Is it just like one of these where you just like... I don't know. Does that work? Fuck. I don't know if this works.
These are some stellar choices you're making here, champ. Okay, you do the crazy things. Ophelia keeps staring at you in confusion. Finally, you sigh, as big as you can, 3 times in a row. What do these sighs mean? Ophelia doesn't know. I don't know, and neither do you.
Oh my
It's
god.
like you think you've saved your game earlier, so now you can just do stupid stuff without consequences. But you can't save a game in real life, silly. So now you've got to live with the consequences of these choices. And here's one of those consequences. Ophelia's love for you has taken 15 damage. Lucky for you, she still loves you a whole heck of a lot. Eventually you run out of sighs and get up and leave. But rather than walking out of the room like a regular person, you look over your shoulder, lock eyes with her, and walk out of the room and around the corner without ever breaking that eye contact. You're lucky you didn't walk into a wall.
It was skill.
You know what? I think you've made enough choices for a while. Move over. I'm driving.
No.
You
No.
decide to go see what Claudius is up to.
No. I want to control the game. Oh.
So you walk in on your mom and fake dad as they're trying to run the country.
Okay.
But it turns out they were talking about
Not the
you
worst thing to walk into, I'm doing.
Polonius is there too. He's talking to you like you're touched in the head.
Oh.
Hey, he thinks you're crazy. Maybe that's because of all the dumb decisions you've been making.
Oh.
So, in an effort to save this, we're going to assume that you were just pretending
Yeah.
to be crazy.
No,
Because that way, all of this kind of makes sense, and nobody would ever suspect a crazy person of committing a murder, right? This is literally the best option we've got left. This is what you've reduced us to.
Okay.
You've gone back and rewritten the story so that, in your talk with Horatio, now you say, I might act crazy for a while. Just be cool. You can go back and check. It's totally there. Okay, so it turns out Polonius considers himself a master riddle master. And he's going to ask you 3 riddles to determine if you're sane or not.
Okay.
Riddle the first. Do you know who I am? Since you're now just acting crazy, this gets a little easier. Normally,
Okay.
I'd give you the choice between a reasonable answer and a crazy answer, but I figure now you want to pick the reasonable one just to screw things up. And I swear to God there will be a method to your madness if it kills me. So here are your options.
Okay.
Say, I don't know who you are. Maybe you're a pimp? I know you're looking for the option to say, yeah, you're Polonius. Here. But you know what? I like being in charge. Say, I don't know who you are. Maybe you're a pimp?
I want to go back and see if he rewrote the story. But at the same time, I don't really care too much. I know you're looking for the option to say, yeah, you're Polonius here, but you know what? I like being in charge. Say, I don't know who you are. Maybe you're a pimp. Fuck, so it won't make me... This fucking narrator has decided that he just knows better than me, right? And the narrator's like, hey, guess what? How about you just say the same thing twice? How's that for a choice?
You tell Polonius that you don't actually know who he is, but maybe he's a pimp.
I didn't want
He
to...
doesn't get that you are, or rather that I am, rather cleverly trying to suggest that you suspect he's been trying to mess with Ophelia in order to get to you. It goes entirely over his head. Anyway, he seems satisfied with your answer, which is great. Polonius puts to you his riddle the second.
Oh, here
What
we
have
go.
you been reading lately? He says.
Answer with
Answer
the...
with the exact words I want you to say.
No, I want to pick something different. He's forcing me to say things.
That's right. Fall in line, baby.
Oh,
You haven't touched a
fuck
book
you.
since you came home from university on funeral/wedding break. So you answer by making up a book you've been reading called Old Men Are Gross and Dumb. It's about how old men are gross and dumb. You conclude by saying that Polonius would be the same age as you, if people age backwards. Oh,
Oh, God.
Polonius agrees that this is probably the case. Finally, he challenges you with the final of his 3 riddles.
I'm going to...
Would you like to go for a walk outside?
Yeah?
You say you'd like to go walk outside. Straight into your grave. It's that last bit of crazy that really sells it. Somehow, Polonius thinks you're actually saying something really significant about how we're all really dying from the moment we're born.
Alright.
He observes that in madness, you're actually speaking the truth. Hey, your answers seem to have helped him reach the conclusion we wanted in regards to your sanity.
Okay.
Polonius says he'd better be going, and you say nothing would make you happier except if you somehow literally died right now. And then you motorboat your lips and flick your index finger over them, making a sound. Yep, he definitely thinks you're crazy. So, I hope you're happy. I have fixed this as best I can, and remember, we're just fake crazy now, okay? Okay, you can drive again. As Polonius leaves, your friends Rosencrantz and Guildenstern enter the room. What? You thought these guys were still back at university? This is awesome. Greet your friends with high fives. Greet your friends by slapping them on the back. Greet your friends with hugs all around. Let's not get carried away. Just walk up, say hi, and ask them how it's going.
I kind of want to slap him on their back and just be like, yo, bros. Oh, right. Let's not get carried away, though.
How have you been, gentlemen? You say. I've been okay, except for, you know, the nightmares. Anyway, what brings you here? They look at each other. What do you mean what brings us here? Why don't we instead talk about your, plans and motivations? Rosencrantz says. Your face falls. Man, you knew it. Claudius sent for them. They're here to spy on you. Oh, really? Come on, guys. Were you sent here to spy on me, you say? Well, yeah. Rosencrantz replies.
Bros.
Kinda. Frig, man, I knew it, you say. Look, I'll make it easy on you. I know I've been all emo lately and mopey, and even though we don't have the word for it yet, I'm pretty sure I'm what you'd call clinically depressed. That's all. You sigh, and then look at them with a small smile. I guess I'm quite the piece of work, huh? You say. Would you care to explain that in more detail? Rosencrantz says. You reply, as a matter of fact, I would. No, man, didn't you hear? I'm clinically... You are inspired. You clear your throat and hold out one hand in front of you. You look Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in the eyes, one after the other.
Okay.
What a piece of work is a man, you say, choosing your words and punctuation carefully. How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form and moving how express and admirable, in action how like an angel, in apprehension how like a god. Your friends nod. Humans are pretty great. The beauty of the world, the paragon of animals, and yet, to me, what is this quintessence of dust? Man delights not me. You break off as Guildenstern interrupts you. Gay, he says. I said man delights not me, idiot, you say. Nor woman neither, though you seem to think. This time you're interrupted by Rosencrantz. Asexual, he says. You look at your friends. Anyway, whatever, you say. I've been depressed, but it's great to see you guys. Homophobia and asexual phobia aside. Oh, hey, says Guildenstern, suddenly remembering something. We met an author on the boat over. We invited her to come say hi.
That's good.
An author? This is really, really exciting. And who should walk through the door just as
Who the fuck
Guildenstern
is
stops
Devin
talking?
Booker?
Why, it's the very author they just mentioned. How perfect. Having her show up now keeps his narrative moving forward at a nice clip, and avoids any awkward downtime, where you'd otherwise all just sit around in a circle waiting for someone to show up and talk to you. Huh. Nicely done, narrator of this story, aka me. Talk to author.
Alright. Hey, how you going there, author?
The three of you and the author get to talking, and she's really great.
That's
It
good.
turns out she's Christina Marlowe, the author of The Murder of Gonzago, a The Adventures Being Chosen by You story. Can you murder your brother Gonzago and then, playing as your dead brother's son, murder your usurping uncle? I sure hope so. Choose from over 300 different possible endings.
That's cool.
It's one of your favorite books, and you tell her
He's
so.
like really famous.
Excitedly
Yeah,
asking
I don't
questions about characters and
I don't stay up to
motivation,
date
and
on
how she did that thing with the choices.
NBA players.
While the four of you talk, Polonius walks into the room and tries to work his way
It
into the conversation.
Probably be
But
nice,
whatever.
right?
Nobody here likes him.
Yeah.
Christina doesn't make any attempt to include him, and that makes you love her even more. You start quoting your favorite passage to her. It's the bit from the back cover, and she takes over when you forget some of the words. It goes like this. You are still really mad that your dad was killed by his brother. You decide that you should murder him for revenge. And that, my friend, is a really good idea. Do you decide to wait to murder him? No, shout you, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in unison. Christina smiles. Polonius mutters, This is boring. But nobody cares. Excellent. Then you sneak into his room at night and stab him in the neck.
That's
a huge fountain of blood erupts from his neck.
That's pretty
under
brutal.
such pressure that it bursts through the ceiling
Oh,
and forms a glorious red geyser above the roof.
What?
Some kid walking by sees the geyser and says, Whoa. And while he's saying the oh part of whoa, blood lands in his open mouth. It's so awesome.
Oh, that's
You have earned
gross.
1,000 points. And the whoa kid also earned 50 points. The three of you laugh and cheer and applaud, while Christina smiles politely and Polonius stands around with his arms crossed. Whatever. I wanted to wait before killing him, he grumbles. Christina recited her book with such heartfelt emotion that you actually feel pretty bad about not murdering your own uncle yet. Wait a minute. That gives you an idea. Go murder your uncle. Instead of murdering your uncle, go grab your copy of the book. Then you can get it signed, and then you can see if you can get Claudius to read it, and then if he chooses the murder your brother path, and then if he looks guilty, you'll know he did it even though a ghost already investigated it and told you he did.
I guess we probably should get all the facts.
Okay, but one thing at a time, buddy. First, you go back to your room and get your copy of the book for Christina to sign, which she does.
That's good.
To Hamlet, best wishes. I hope you like to read these words that I wrote on a piece of paper. Cheers, Christina, she writes. Amazing. It's perfect. And now you've got the perfect book to entrap your uncle. You excuse yourself and go back to your room to flip through Gonzago again. You get absorbed in the adventure, and a few playthroughs later, you're convinced. It really is a great book. And it should work perfectly for your plan. Now all you need to do is find Claudius. I'm pretty sure he's in the royal court, dude. Go to the royal court. Nap for a while.
Alright, let's go to the royal court.
You go to the royal court and it's deserted?
What?
Practically.
You told me
anyway.
he would be here.
It kind of looks like maybe Ophelia is there in the corner reading a book. But please, it's not like you have time to make certain. Well, this sucks. You had this perfect plan ready, but if Claudius isn't around, then he can't read the book and the whole thing is useless and stupid, and you hate it. You feel some introspection coming on. Yes. Oh man, this is going to be a big one. It's going to all boil down to this. Is it even worth living in a world where things don't always go your way? Or to put it differently, being alive is good, or maybe being dead is good. Or to put it a third, more copulatastic way, to be or not to be.
Ooh, that's the name of the game.
This is the big one, Hamlet. This
They
is
said the
speech
name of the
this book
game.
is named after. I guess you'd better talk it out, huh? Choose wisely.
Okay.
You clear your throat and raise one hand in front of you. To be. Not to be.
It has to be.
This is what you say to nobody in particular. To be or not to be. That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune.
Is this the
or to
Alas
take
Poor
arms
Yorick
against the sea of troubles,
line?
and by opposing end them, to die, to sleep, no more, and by a sleep, to say we end the heartache, and the thousand natural shocks that flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. Man, nicely done, Hamlet. Hey, wait a minute. Ophelia's here.
Hey, Ophelia. What's up,
You
bro?
say hi to Ophelia, but she's acting all upset, trying to give back the presents and all the love letters that you sent her over your relationship.
Oh,
Weird. It looks like someone's convinced her that you're not marriage material after all. To be fair, you did just finish talking out loud about killing yourself.
oh shit.
Huh. And though I know you're now frantically looking for the whatever man, she's just doing this because chicks be crazy option, Hamlet, you are nothing if not classy. I'm not going to give it to you. Listen, I'm going to help you out. You
Okay.
think Ophelia's crazy, but maybe she's just acting crazy. In considering that possibility, you think to yourself that Ophelia doesn't have any real reason for being as upset as she appears to be. Sure, you've kind of ignored her for a few weeks, which was selfish and jerky. But on the other hand, this isn't the first time you've been caught up in something, and you're sure she can handle it as she has before, with understanding, and not by, abandoning the relationship entirely in some stupid castle room. So maybe it is entirely possible that she's being fake crazy too. Maybe. Maybe because she's figured things out, and also wants to murder Claudius. You decide you need a way to see if she's faking crazy, while you're simultaneously also faking crazy, without revealing to anyone who may or may not be listening in that you're both actually just faking the crazy. Is there a code phrase or something you can use? Say, the wolf stalks the quiet evening prey. Say, I never loved you. Say, a hip hop, a hippie to the hip hip hop.
I would love to go back and click on that option. I'm not gonna lie. We'll stay
What?
as
says,
true
curious.
to the story as much
I
as
don't think
possible.
those were the secret code words, bro. You say. Try again? Maybe the code phrase is, get thee to a nunnery. Go with, a hip hop, a hippie to the hip hip hop. Go with, the wolf stalks the quiet evening prey.
Listen, you can't give me the option a second time. Oh, I want to keep it as online with the story, just so I don't know it's there, so people who are lurking get an idea of Hamlet. You know, fuck. Ugh.
You tell her to get to a nunnery because if she has sex, her kids will be awful because everyone is awful. And man, if you only had the time, you'd be the awfulest person ever.
What?
Also, only a fool would marry her because anyone smart knows that women are awful. Why are you saying these horrible, horribly sexist things? She asks. I've got to say, it's a pretty good question.
Yeah.
Last chance, Hamlet. Say, a hip hop, a hippie to the hip hip hop. Say, the wolf stalks the quiet evening prey. Say, women are idiots who just want to get a sexing.
It's the third time it's letting me pick this option. I can't. I'm going down. I'm going down this. Okay. All right. We're going down
Sometimes
this
I
line.
wonder why I give you these choices. Okay, you say those things, but you at least clarify that you think women just pretend to be dumb to get that sexing they so crave.
God.
You accuse all women of being unfaithful, and you say there should be no more marriages because they necessarily involve women and women are awful.
Oh no.
There's a couple of things wrong with that, actually. Anyway, you say that people who are already married can stay married. You guess, except for one very special couple in particular. You look at her to see if she's getting what you're hinting at, and she looks super angry, actually. I don't think you're gonna pull this off, dude. This whole conversation is an unmitigated fiasco, and if she was just pretending to be mad before, she's seriously furious now. Congratulations, Hamlet. You just broke up with your girlfriend because you were pretending to be insane and trying to talk in a stupid secret code. You can't really say you blame her for leaving.
Oh.
All you have now is your plan to trap Claudius with a choose-your-own
Okay,
path adventure
alright.
book. So you go home, rest, and tomorrow, that's exactly what you do.
All right. We got to go over
Try
there.
to trap Claudius with the book.
Yeah. All right. Let's go trap him
First
with a
thing in the
book.
morning, you show up to the royal court. You look out at the assembled courtiers and see that everyone's here. Your mom and stepdad, Polonius, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, a bunch of people you've never met, Ophelia, the whole gang. You're still looking around when Horatio comes up behind you and slaps you on the back in an expertly executed maneuver. Bro times, he says. How's it going, bro times? Good, you say. Listen, can you do me a favor? You explain that you're going to be watching Claudius closely, but ask if maybe he could keep an eye on him too as he reads. You're, really good at stuff, you say, wishing that there was somehow a better way to put that. He agrees that he's pretty great at stuff, and consents to do some of that watching stuff for you. All right, there's nothing left to do, Hamlet. It's go time. Hey, Claudius, you say, brandishing your signed copy of Gonzago. Why don't you read this book today?
I certainly don't see why not.
He says, and you pass him the book. Now all that's left is to decide where to sit. Sit at Ophelia's feet. Ask to lay in her lap, in the sexy sense, and remind her that she has genitals.
What?
Stand behind the king so you can see what choices he makes as he reads, and thereby figure out if he's guilty or not.
Hang on. Sit at Ophelia's feet. Ask to lay in her lap in the sexy sense. And remind her that she has genitals. Oh, what is Hamlet? Dude is a fucking L. Oh my god.
You know what? No.
Ugh.
Just no. When you write your own book, you can fill it in with all the let's have sex in front of mom and dad and haha, women have different parts than men jokes you want, but this is my book, and I'm unilaterally deciding right now that you don't get to do this. Instead, you decide to go stand behind your stepdad and watch him read. How's that taste? Does it taste like compromise? Because it shouldn't. It should taste like falling in line.
Fuck
You walk
me.
around behind the throne so you can look over his shoulder as he reads. You figure that helps your whole act crazy thing, because you'd have to be crazy to not know how annoying this is. You are now Claudius, King of Denmark. Your nephew is standing behind you being really annoying. Hamlet has just given you a book to read and it looks pretty good actually. And it's perfect timing, because one of the royal court's favorite activities is to listen to you read a book out loud, because it's history times and there are no computers yet. You clear your throat and hold up the book so that everyone in the audience can see.
Let us begin.
You say, bringing the book down and reading the cover.
This story is called The Murder of Gonzago, a The Adventure is Being Chosen by You story.
You look up.
The title goes on for a while after that, but my first choice is going to be to skip to the first page.
You say. There is a smattering of polite laughter. Begin reading.
Alright, read the first page. The Murder of Gonzago. Am I playing an adventure, choose your own adventure in a choose your own adventure?
You are Battle Lord Pete, or as you prefer to be called, Dragon Master 3000, since you are the master of 3000 dragons. You are amazing because of all the dragons you control, plus you wear the armor of a skeleton warrior, and you wield the battle axe that has the Latin phrase, facta non verba, written on it, in blood. You know what that means? That means deeds, not words.
Holy crap, Claudius. This book is already awesome.
You've been feeling a little jealous lately because your brother Gonzago gets to be king, and it occurs to you, maybe if you killed him and married his wife, you could be king instead. Maybe you should do that, or maybe you should just go slay some skeleton warriors.
Go kill your brother. Kill skeletons. You choose the go kill your brother option. Behind you, Hamlet seems to get interested in your choices. Wait a second. You remind yourself that you did actually just kill your brother. And so maybe reliving the murder in front of the court, through the medium of high literature, is not the greatest idea. On the other hand, adventure beckons. Say, oh wait, I meant to choose that skeleton thing, and turn to that page instead. You announce that you really did intend to choose this option. Behind you, Hamlet whispers to himself, man, I knew it. You read out loud the text on the page.
You find your brother Gonzago sleeping in a garden. Gardens are really super boring, so it makes sense that he fell asleep.
You hear your audience murmur in agreement.
Sneaking up on your brother, you notice that he's sleeping on his side. You have some poison in your pocket. Do you hold his nose
Yes.
and pour the poison into his mouth? Pour the poison into his ear? Or realize that murder is terrible, leave, and go kill skeletons instead? They're basically already dead.
If you're trying not to get caught, I really think you should go kill some skeletons. Poison in the mouth. Poison in the ear. Go kill skeletons instead.
Yes? What vamp? Oh, no, my stream was being weird. Like you ended or something. I think my internet was just playing up a little bit. We can't. It looks like it's fine now. Sorry for the bad internet. So we'll select poison in the ear. I think
Turn to the
it shouldn't be too
appropriate
long
page.
until we can start
Pour
picking
the
some
poison
different
into his ear.
options.
Like all sleeping people, your brother doesn't wake up when cold liquids are poured directly into his ear hole, so this whole thing goes surprisingly well. Also, who knew that the ears were really the best way to introduce poison into the body? You and I did, obviously. So I guess any medical doctors in the audience who are about to say, excuse me, but I studied human bods for 6 years at the university level, can straight up go suck a lemon. Your bro is dead.
Oh,
Congratulations. Poisons really do work that quickly. And you have just ended a life. Perhaps you'd like to assume your brother's throne now as well.
Behind you, Hamlet whispers to himself, man, that's exactly what I suspected, and this has allowed me to confirm my suspicions perfectly. Nice one, Claudius. Hamlet now believes you murdered his father. It seems you have two choices. You can throw the book down, yell that you hate it, and run out of the room. Or, since an innocent person would not actually react that way, you can just continue playing as if nothing's wrong, thereby not instantly confirming your guilt, and instead allow your choices to be read as simple chance. Run out of the room.
all right.
You tear out of the room, throwing the book behind you, leaving Hamlet and your beloved Gertrude alone in front of a very confused crowd. Today's not going very well for you, huh? You run into your room in tears and lock the door behind you and throw your face into your pillow and cry. Well, Claudius, there's no two ways about it. You globbed up big back there. I think you'd better be Hamlet for a while, huh?
Yeah, let's be Hamlet.
You are Hamlet. You just saw your stepfather confirm his guilt about killing your father, because he read a book and chose the options that the murderer would have chosen in real life. He's definitely guilty. This is entirely reasonable.
Yep.
There is absolutely no other conceivable explanation for what you just saw. After Claudius tore out of the room, your mother followed him, and after she left, everyone else left too, leaving the room empty but for you, Ophelia, and Horatio. Did you see that? He totally chose the murdery options, and then he freaked out, you say, really excited. There's no denying that, says Horatio. This means the spooky ghost was correct, you say. Ophelia looks at you for a moment and then opens her mouth to speak. Wait, hold on. I can't remember. You've made a lot of crazy choices. Did you and Ophelia break up the last time you saw her?
We did, yes.
Yeah, man, we broke up.
Actually, before we started reading
Actually, before we started reading that book
book
within a
within a
book,
book.
Ophelia told me we were cool, so we're definitely cool. Not only did we not break up, I actually was Ophelia before Claudius started reading the book. To tell you the truth, not only did we not break up, but she said she wants to marry me, and that I'm the handsomest man she ever did meet. She explained that if you looked up sexy in the dictionary, there'd be a picture of me with the caption, "We put this here because we knew you wouldn't want to die without ever having seen such a hunky chunk of man."
Oh my god. What happens? What happens when? That's honestly, the last option is pure copium. Alright, yeah, we broke up.
I'm sorry to hear it. I mean, it makes sense, but sorry about your feelings, buddy. Okay, so you just said, this means the spooky ghost was correct? And Ophelia has looked at you strangely, and now she's speaking. A ghost? She says. You're crazy. Then she looks at Horatio and says, you're crazy too. And then she looks at you again, sighs, and says, I don't even know why I'm here, and leaves, shoving past Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in the doorway. Looks like you two are still broken up, which makes you sad. But on the plus side, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are totally awesome. Bros before woes.
Oh.
You're about to greet your best bros with your choice of high fives, slaps on the back, or hugs all around, when Guildenstern holds up his hand and speaks. Your mom wants to see you, he says. As you know, in this time period, if you want to talk to someone, you have to literally walk over to where they are and chat them up, which I can hardly believe. Anyway, she's lazy, so she wants you to walk to her instead. Dude,
Yeah.
she said she's astonished by your behavior, Rosencrantz adds. Astonished isn't real slang, you say. Just trying it out, Rosencrantz says, and you high-five to linguistic experimentation.
Ooh.
Well, I guess I'm off to see her, you say. Just then, Polonius enters the room and says,
Hey, your mother wants to see you.
I know. Nobody wants you here, Polonius, you yell at him. God, I could just stab you through a curtain.
Oh.
Hey, that gives you an idea. Go stab Polonius through a curtain. Go stab the king, which is what you wanted to do in the first place. Go talk to your
Alright, go talk to them. Alright, Polonius, we're coming for you. Don't worry.
You pass by the church. You live in a very fancy castle. Were you aware of that? And who should be there engrossed in prayer but Claudius? I guess after he ran off to his room, he decided to go to church to pray instead. He's such a wiener. Wait a minute. You could totally kill him in a church. How badass is that?
That'd be pretty badass.
Man, pretty badass. Let's kill Claudius in the church. No time for murders now. I've got a date with my mom.
Fuck, let's kill Claudius in the church.
You find Claudius engrossed in prayer,
Here we go.
which is completely silent, so you have no idea what he's praying about. Probably he's feeling guilty about the murder he did, huh?
That's
The murder of your dad?
Yeah.
The murder that makes you so mad you want to commit the murder act on him?
Yeah.
You unsheath your sword and raise it above his head.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, if he's praying right now, then doesn't that mean that, according to religion, his soul is pure with all its sins confessed? If you kill him, he'll die with his soul more pure than that of your father when he died. Hardly seems fair, does it?
No, it doesn't
Wait,
seem very fair.
Is it still cool to murder a jerk if they're praying? Is there a page in the Bible on that or something? Better not kill him now at this perfect opportunity, because it's really important what happens to him after he dies. Haha, nice try, Claudius. Prayer doesn't work that way. What time is it? Oh wow, would you look at that? The day's barely started and already it's 1:15 stabs the clock. Okay, you walk away from the perfect chance for murder and go see your mom instead. Don't worry, I get it. You're afraid that if you kill Claudius, the book will end, and you don't want it to be over yet. I have nobody to blame but myself, I suppose. I wrote an adventure that was simply too awesome. Anyway, onward to adventure. To an adventure that is so awesome, I hope it never ends and this book becomes a prison for both of us.
Alright, let's go, Mom.
Hey, Mom, what's up? You say. She jumps back from the curtain she was just messing with. Moms, am I right? Okay, I'm going to interrupt the story here to tell you that this isn't going to go well for you no matter what you do.
Oh.
I'm spinning around a chair so it's backwards, and I'm sitting on it, straddling the back of the chair with my legs. So you know we're about to have some real talk.
Okay.
You know how in the story you've been choosing the crazy options and doing some crazy stuff? Here's the thing. Sometimes people do that in real life, with their own actual real-life lives. I don't know why, but they do it, and it happens. Just throwing this out there, but your mom has married her husband's brother murderer, and literally served appetizers left over from his funeral at the wedding.
Wow.
This is an actual thing she, a queen of comfortable, can certainly afford more appetizers means, decided to do.
Yeah.
She's not in the best frame of mind, and I've been minimizing her role in the story as much as possible, in order not to embarrass her and to give her some space. But you're talking to her now, and there's not much I can do to avoid it.
Okay.
Try to understand if she acts crazy. Okay, lecture over. I'm turning the chair back to its normal orientation. We don't have to rap about our feelings anymore.
Hey, Hamlet, Gertrude says. Listen, you were a dick when you messed up Claudius's reading earlier.
Oh.
I didn't mess up anything, you say. He's the one who read the murdery options. If anyone messed up, it's you, because you married Dad's brother, and that's messed up, Mom. I thought we were going to be nice to her. Your mom looks at you like she's seeing you for the first time.
What are you going to do? Murder me? Are you going to murder me?
Your mom asks. Terrific. No, Mom, I'm not going to murder you, you say, holding your palms out in front of you in what you hope reads as a be cool motion. Why would you even think that? Oh, is it because I'm wearing a sword? Listen, all the princes wear swords these days. Help! She screams at the top of her lungs. A voice from behind the curtain says, What?
Help! Help!
It seems your mom has a spy eavesdropping on this little conversation. Remember what I said before about giving her the benefit of the doubt?
Yeah.
This is kind of the perfect chance to give her the benefit of the doubt. Tell her you'll talk to her later when she's A, less crazy, and B, you can talk in private. Show her how non-murderous you are by killing whoever's behind the curtain. I need to learn to stop giving you gag options, because you keep taking them. Joke's on
That's
me,
what
of
actually
course.
happens in the story,
Anyway,
though.
You throw being nice to the woman who gave birth to you out the window, and you give the curtain the old stabby-me-doo and kill whoever's behind it.
Lo, I am slain.
He says. Well, kind of sounds like, lol, I am slain, which you think would have been funnier. But wait a second. The voice sounds like Polonius?
What have you done?
Screams your mother. Thinking quickly, you say,
Lol, I
"Nothing
am
as bad as
slain."
killing a king and marrying his wife.
What? I didn't murder anyone.
She says. Okay, no, obviously, you say. But Claudius did, and then you married him. Besides, maybe I thought the guy behind the curtain was Claudius, and therefore I was doing a good deed.
How is it a good deed to kill my husband?
Asked your mom.
And besides, didn't you see him praying on your way here? We both know he's in the church. He can't be in two places at once.
That's fair. Yeah.
You say.
Alright, damn.
Turning away from the body, you start yelling at your mom, saying how great Dad was, how awful Claudius is, and how she traded the best dude ever for the worst dude ever in time, and finally, how she's pretty dumb and awful, and too old for love anyway. You say all these things to your own mother. You reduce her to tears.
You've made me feel horrible about my marriage.
She says pitifully.
Yeah.
When you have sex, it's awful, and it makes the bed all greasy. You reply. Wow.
What?
Suddenly, a ghost appears. Twist. Talk to ghost.
Who's the ghost? Alright.
It's the ghost of your dad. Like from before,
Didn't I ask you to kill Claudius?
the ghost says.
So far, all you've done is watch someone else read a book and then kill your girlfriend's dad.
It's complicated, you say.
Who are you talking to?
Asks Gertrude. Mom, I'm talking to the ghost of my dead dad, you yell. I talked to him before and everyone saw him then. I don't know why you can't see him now. I don't know what his deal is.
Ah, jeez. You're crazy. My son is bonkers.
Your mom says to herself, drying her tears. To be fair, you do look a little crazy. Ghost Dad reminds you that you're supposed to be murdering Claudius, not Polonius, and he doesn't really see how cussing out his widow is helping anything. Be nice to her, he says.
Also,
He says.
I'm pretty sure she's conflicted about this whole, marriage to my brother thing that I guess is going on. So maybe you could talk to her about that.
But Dad, you say.
Hamlet?
He says, frowning as he disappears. Fine, you say. Hey, Mom, how's it going? Listen, stop having sex with Claudius, okay? She slaps you across the face. Maybe that's why people don't usually discuss sex lives with their moms. Who knows? Look, Mom, I'm not really crazy, but don't tell anyone, okay? You say, gingerly touching your face where she hit you. What is crazy is what you've been doing. This marriage to your husband's brother, it's gross. We all think it's gross. I know you're not happy about it. I know that, Mom. Hamlet, she begins, but you cut her off. It's not too late, Mom. If you can't be good, maybe tonight you can just pretend to be good, and then keep pretending to be good night after night, and it'll get easier. And by pretend to be good, I mean make yourself unavailable to Claudius sexually and emotionally. Your mom's crying again, but quietly. She looks up at you. All right, she says.
Jesus Christ.
All right. I'm proud of you, Mom, you say. Listen, I've got to go. I kind of killed Polonius by accident, and I'm gonna go lay low for a while.
Yeah, sorry,
Okay,
Polonius.
she says. Toodles. Tell her that it would be very unfortunate if she told Claudius that you're just faking crazy, and as a consequence of that had an accident that broke her neck.
Wait. Tell her that it would be very
On
unfortunate.
second thought, leave without saying that.
Hang on. Tell her that it would be very unfortunate if she told Clara she was just taking crazy, and as a consequence of that, had an accident that broke. All right.
You finish up this tender moment by threatening the woman who gave birth to you and leave. Oh, Hamlet. What are we going to do with you, Hamlet? On your way out the door, you bump into your bros, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. You want to get out of here, you say, and they can see that they would like to party on a boat. You know what? That sounds nice. Sort of give everyone space, you know, while also standing around on a positively buoyant vessel. It sounds real nice. There's a boat headed for England in just a few hours, you say. You know this because boats to England are kind of a big deal.
Woo.
You send some servants to clean up crazy old dead Polonius and another to be there for your mother, and you pack your bags. A few hours later, you and your bros are partying on a boat.
Woo.
Party boat!
Woo. Party boat.
Oh crap, you forgot to tell Ophelia about her dad.
Oh.
Well, I can't get off this party boat now.
Oh, okay.
Even if you broke up recently, you should at least console Ophelia over her loss, especially since you were kinda involved in his accidental death.
Yeah.
But instead, you're running away and partying on a boat. I'm calling it, you are the worst boyfriend and or ex-boyfriend ever. But you're on this boat, and it's set sail for England, so there's not much you can do. Try to party as best you can, given the circumstances.
Just have a good time.
As the boat sails for England, you catch sight of a huge army sailing towards Poland. There has to be an entire military corps on board. I'm serious. There's got to be 20,000 people all crammed onto a single ship. The ship is too far away from you to communicate by talking or even shouting, but luckily you brought semaphore flags and are fully trained in their use. And, as you know, by holding up the two colored flags in different positions, you can spell out letters of the alphabet. And in response, folks on the other ship can send messages back to you. Hey, Hamlet here. What's going on? You say in semaphore. Hey, Hamlet. We were sent by Prince Fortinbras from Norway. He's kind of a rough equivalent of you, come to think of it. Anyway, he's on board and we're all going to fight over some really terrible land that sucks. Comes the signed reply. Really? You signal.
What?
Yeah, it's totally sucky land. But what are you gonna do? Fighter's gonna fight, he signals. And we're happy to do it. Okay, thanks, you reply in flag talk. Wow, Fortinbras and his army are ready to fight over something entirely useless. And the Polish are willing to defend it too? These people will fight and kill over nothing. And you can't even kill your uncle, even though you have totally valid reasons. Whoa, dude, hold up. You start to feel inspired. Be inspired in free verse, kicking it old school. Be inspired in rhyming couplets. You
Alright.
clear your throat and hold out a hand in front of you. Here's what you say. Witness this army of such mass and charge, led by a delicate and tender prince. whose spirit with divine ambition puffed, makes mouths at the invisible event, exposing what is mortal and unsure to all that fortune, death, and danger dare. Even for an eggshell, rightly to be great, is not to stir without great argument, but greatly to find quarrel in a straw, when honor's at the stake. How stand I then, that have a father killed, a mother stained, excitements of my reason and my blood, and let all sleep, while, to my shame, I see the imminent death of 20,000 men, that for a fantasy and trick of fame, go to their graves like beds, fight for a plot, whereon the numbers cannot try the cause, which is not tomb enough and continent to hide the slain. Oh, from this time forth, my thoughts be bloody, or be nothing worth. Not bad. Not bad. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are polite enough to pretend not to hear. They're so great.
Thanks, bros.
Continue partying on a boat.
Yeah, let's fucking continue partying on this boat.
Partying on a boat is great, but it doesn't last forever. After several hours, the party winds down and everyone starts going to bed.
Yeah.
You and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern stumble off to your quarters. 3 awesome dudes in 1 awesome room. 1 awesome party room.
Woo!
The next day you wake up, still feeling the effects of the previous night's partying. You put on your shirt, but it feels different. Turns out it's Rosencrantz's shirt. Wow. As you pull it off, a letter falls out of the pocket. Rosencrantz wakes up, teases you for wearing his clothes, and then notices the letter. Hey, Hamlet, you dropped something, he says. No, man, you say. It's your letter. This is your shirt. You pass him the garment. He has the shirt. It's not my letter, bro, he says, pulling it over his head. Someone must have slipped it to me sometime yesterday. What's it say? Flipping it over, you notice it's got a royal seal on the back. It's from King Claudius.
Oh,
you
shit.
say. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern say the following. What?
What the fuck?
Open the letter.
Fuck, let's open
You're
this.
gonna open it, you say. This is what you read.
Dear King of England,
Mhm.
it's me, Claudius, the King of Denmark. Listen, we get along pretty well, right? And both our countries are in pretty good shape. Anyway, it'd be really convenient for me, and it would help both our countries stay in good shape, if you could kill Hamlet for me, real quick. It's not that big a deal. Just kill him, okay? Cool? Cool.
Wow.
Yes, I'm 100% serious. Please kill him right now.
You and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern stare at each other for a long moment. Looks like this whole time while you were planning to kill Claudius, he was also planning to kill you.
Dude, are you scoping this letter's choice assassination orders?
Asked Rosencrantz.
I told you, man. I told you about Claudius.
Guildenstern yells. Maybe he heard my free verse from last night, you say. It was extremely tight. Figure out a
Alright, let's figure out a plan
You and
for
your
this.
bros come up with a plan. It goes as follows.
Okay.
You replace the letter with a forgery you wrote together that reads,
Hey, King, can you make it so that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are given fancy houses and made princes and given all the cool things that is possible to have, as they are extremely awesome. But please do not mention this letter or its contents ever again to me. Claudius, the man who is writing this letter right now. If you do see
Seems
me and this
legit.
letter comes up and then I claim I did not ask for these things, then I'm lying. I like to pretend sometimes that I didn't write letters, but it's just pretend, ha. I can never take this back. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are awesome. Hamlet's rad too. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are way awesome though.
You replace the official seal with a forgery. Since you're wearing a ring and it bears the royal seal, this is surprisingly easy. You decide that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern will deliver the letter while you catch the next boat back to Denmark to kill Claudius. You're at the stage in fulfilling the plan when pirates attack.
This pirates?
Pirates? Nobody said there were pirates.
Wait,
Holy cow, this book just got awesome.
wait, what the fuck? I don't remember.
Thank you. You're too kind.
I didn't have anything
Let
else
me
to
set
say.
the scene. You, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, rush above decks at the sound of the lookout yelling, "Pirates ho!" Following his arm pointing to the horizon, you see a ship sailing directly towards you with alarming speed. Her disguise of a Danish flag being lowered as a black flag with a grinning skull and crossbones unfurls in its place. It's pretty badass. Behind her, a huge storm has gathered, lightning striking into the water. Both are headed straight for you. She's a magnificent ship, a 3-masted beauty running 50 meters long from bow to stern. She slices cleanly through the sea with the wind filling her sails. 1,400 tons of boat, a symphony of wood, cloth, brass, and iron. She's as tall as she is long, with each of her masts proudly carrying 4 gargantuan rectangular sails. Rigging of baffling complexity stretches between each mast, its crossbars, and the side of her hull. She carries 26 cannons on her port side and 26 on her starboard, each loaded and at the ready, and she's running with her gun ports open. She also sails with 2 forward-facing cannons mounted on her bow, beneath which protrudes the beautifully carved figure of a mermaid. Over 150 strong and able men, all pirates, call her home.
Damn.
Painted and polished red wooden letters affixed to her hull betray her name, Calypso's Gale. You, on the other hand, are on a party boat, the HDMS Vesselmania 4. Your boat is a mere 100 tons, her armaments a slight 6 cannons per side. Vesselmania's 2 smaller masts bear a single triangular sail each. Her crew of 20 is inexperienced and young. Her captain, with whom you've had only a passing acquaintance, seems fresh out of captain school, if that is even a thing. He's there at your side now, barking orders left and right. Men haul up the sails and run below decks to prepare the cannons. It is a scene of barely controlled chaos, and that's when you hear the first report of cannon fire. Both shots hit their target. The pirates are firing chain shot, 2 cannonballs tied together with a length of heavy chain, stuffed into a single cannon, designed to tear apart sails and rigging as they blast through it. The first shot tears apart some of the rigging on your forward sail, but luckily, nothing critical is damaged. The second shot hits low, and instead of tearing into the sails, it decapitates the captain in an
Oh
instant.
no.
His headless, bloody body drops at your feet.
Oh shit.
Pirates. This is so awesome.
What? I don't know. You just watch some dude's head get blown up, and you're like, whoa, cool. This is not a situation that you want to be in.
Yes, well, the bad news is they're not messing around. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern take one look at the bloody corpse of the captain lying at your feet and rush below decks, tripping over each other on their way down the ladder. The first mate is staring at the captain's body in shock. A huge burst of lightning flashes across the darkening sky, and rain begins to fall on Vesselmania's deck. Calypso's Gale is gaining on you, and her forward cannons are being reloaded. The distance between the 2 ships is decreasing by the second. What do? Take command of this vessel.
All right.
I'm assuming
Look at
command
me.
of this vessel.
Look at me. I am the captain
Taking
now.
the hat off the captain's head and putting it on your own. The crew acquiesces easily. You're the oldest person on board, and you are also royalty. Lucky for you. Report, you order.
Main sail is undamaged. The junked rigging of the secondary sail has been destroyed by cannon shot, but repair crews have been dispatched.
Replies your first mate.
Hull integrity at 92%. We're sailing in a broad reach.
You recall enough sailor talk to know that means the wind is at your back, but you're sailing at a slight angle to it. It's the safest way to travel, as traveling with the wind exactly at your back makes for a faster but less stable boat. You normally want to minimize your chances of losing control. On the other hand, with pirates on your tail, maybe now isn't the time to worry about safety.
All right.
What are your orders?
Shouts the first mate over the roar of wind and sea. We need all the speed we can get. Change course so the wind is directly at our back. Continue at the controllable speed we're at now. Turn around and face the
All right.
Put the wind at our back, you order. Your first mate says,
Aye, sir.
and begins barking commands to the crew.
Set sails leeward. We'll be running before the wind, boys.
The crew adjusts the sails quickly, and you can feel it as the boat gains speed. You look behind you, expecting to see Calypso's
All right.
Gale fade from view. But
All
even
right,
with the wind
Vampire.
fully at your back, the pirate ship
Good
is
night.
still
Thanks for
gaining.
stopping by.
It wasn't enough. Calypso's Gale fires again, and chain shot tears through
Um,
Vesselmania's stern.
I'll
and
just
exits
explain
the port
quickly
side
what
hull,
happens.
Thankfully above the waterline.
Orders, Captain?
If you
Stare at
haven't seen,
Calypso's Gale
if you
through the
haven't
spyglass. The square
heard of
shape
the story
rigging
before,
reminds you of
basically at the end of the
Continue with the wind at our back.
at
Turn
the end
around and
at
face
the end of
pirates
the
head on.
story, basically everyone
Try to
dies
remember everything
in a
you know
really
about sailing
stupid way.
before you answer.
So yeah, basically everyone just kind of dies in a dumb way, pretty much. All right. Try to remember everything you know about sailing before you answer.
Those sails she's carrying, 3 masts, each with 4 rectangular sails on them. Of course, you say. The pirate captain did what you would have done in his position. He's chosen the most favorable angle of attack. He's coming in with the wind fully at his back because that's when his boat is fastest. Those square-rigged sails are terrific at catching the wind, and he's got lots of them, but their disadvantage is that they can't be adjusted quickly. Every change requires the crew to climb up and change the rigging on each sail individually. You, on the other hand, can adjust your 2 triangular sails quickly, and it can be done at deck level. If you come about into the storm while maintaining a slight angle away from it, you should be able to turn around, maintain speed, slip past Calypso's gale, and be long gone before she can even begin to turn. It's your only hope. You
Sounds
lower
like
the
a plan.
spyglass, lock eyes with your first mate, and shout your orders over the roar of the storm. Come about into the storm. Set sails windward. Keep a close-hauled tack. The sails are adjusted by your crew. As you turn towards the wind, the waves, which had previously been traveling with you, are now moving against you. Huge white-capped waves crest and splash over the deck. Hold on, men, you shout into the gale. Your ship heels over, almost capsizing with the intensity of the turn, but the sails keep just clear of the water and the maneuver is successful. As she rights herself, you see Calypso's gale ahead of you bearing down, still at speed. All you need to do is pass by her side and you'll be free. Steady, steady, you shout as the two ships approach each other, Vesselmania slipping by on the right. Looking at the crew of the pirate ship, you see them scrambling into the rigging, adjusting their sails as fast as they can. It shouldn't be enough. It shouldn't be. But they're not trying to come about. They're not trying to sidle up parallel to fire their cannons. Instead, they've thrown the rudder hard to port, sending the ship into a tight curve. They're attempting to ram you, Hamlet.
Uh-oh.
Hard to starboard! Hard to starboard! You scream. But there's not enough time. Calypso's gale tears into the side of your ship at full speed. You and the rest of the crew are knocked to the deck as Vesselmania is cleaved almost in two. You scramble to your feet and see that she's somehow managed to stay
Vesselmania.
together, impaled on the much larger bow of Calypso's gale, but she's mortally wounded. She's filling with water as we speak, Hamlet. Looking up through the storm, you see ropes being thrown over the edge of the pirate ship. Pirates are sliding down them, swords at the ready, hoping to kill you and take whatever valuables they can find before Vesselmania finally capsizes. Given her current condition, they'd better be fast. You'd better be fast too, whatever it is you decide to do next. Order the crew to abandon ship, then commandeer the pirate vessel.
Wait, what?
Order the crew to abandon ship, then go below decks to rescue Rosencrantz and Guildenstern.
Wait. What do you mean? Order the crew to abandon ship and then we just take over
Abandon
the
ship!
pirate ship?
All hands, abandon ship! You yell into the storm. The crew looks at you in shock, but there's not much they can do.
You want us to jump into the ocean?
Someone yells. I don't want you to jump into the ocean, you reply. You bite down on the blade of your sword and begin to climb one of the ropes leading up to the pirate ship. Some of your men nearby realize what you're doing and join in, climbing up other ropes. Partway up, you turn around, grasp your sword, and shout down at your remaining crew. I want you to jump into the fight! Your crew shouts in defiance at the pirates, charges the ropes, and begins to climb. Continue climbing.
Alright.
You and your crew scramble up the ropes. Partway up, an explosion rocks Vesselmania 4. You hold tight to the rope as the force of the explosion reaches you, shooting debris upwards into the sky, taking your captain's hat with it, and messing up your hair. Looking downward, you see the entire top deck of Vesselmania has been destroyed, revealing fires raging underneath. There's no way anyone could have survived. You hope Rosencrantz and Guildenstern made it above decks in time, but there's too much storm for you to make out the others on the ropes below you clearly. Maybe. Maybe they made it to the ropes? Yes, that's definitely what happened. No, man, they died.
No, not my bros.
Ha! Nice try. Your friends have to choose their own adventure here. You don't get to make life or death choices for them. If you want to do that, you should play my other book, God, the Adventure. Decide how each of billions of individual stories end. Fun at first, tedious soon after. So many lives are depressingly similar. Personally, though, I also hope Rosencrantz and Guildenstern survived. And I think that probably that counts for something. Suddenly, lightning strikes the water below. A huge roar of thunder deafens you. But in that brief instant, the world is illuminated.
Oh shit.
You see your young crew of almost 20, both by count and by age. Cutlasses at the ready, fighting as they climb. Pirates swarm down the lines, battling them for sport. Above them, on deck, they're being cheered by a row of pirates. And at the very bow of the ship, looking down with a spyglass, stands the captain. He's got a fancy hat and a parrot on his shoulder. The works. And he's staring right at you through the storm. The darkness of the storm is restored moments later. You grimly resume your climb. One way or another, you're going to end this.
Alright, let's keep
You're
doing
about
this.
halfway up when you meet your first pirate. You decide you have the advantage. You can always slide down the rope some to gain distance, while he can only climb up, which takes more time. Before it comes to that, however, you brace your legs against the hull of Calypso's gale. As the pirate approaches you, you push off with all your strength, sending you both into the darkness, hanging in space out above the ocean. You were ready for this, the pirate wasn't. You wield your sword and stab upwards, sending it cleanly through the surprised pirate's butt.
Oh.
Haha, sweet. You hear him scream as he falls, and then you hear a small splash as he hits the ocean. Looking up, you see another pirate already climbing down to take his place. The same trick isn't going to work twice, Hamlet.
Yes, it will.
Climb up higher to meet the pirate. Lure the pirate to slide down lower.
Let's bring him.
Hey,
Come on.
you yell. Big bad pirate, why don't you come down here and fight me? The pirate seems reluctant until you tell him that he's a disappointment to his family, and how the grief and shame of having a child who grew up to work as a pirate, who became a pirate, seems so colossal to your parents, and yet at the same time also so private and personal that they rarely speak of him, even to each other. They live with this invisible wall between them, always preventing them from being as close as they used to be, as they want to be again, the subject of their son somehow always in mind but never broached. His parents, who used to tell each other everything, now go to bed in silence, and this pirate's actions, his choices, have created this thing.
Jesus
Untouchable,
Christ.
unreal, that nevertheless heartlessly and inexorably drives his parents a little more into solitude each day. They've become strangers to each other. The pirate hollers in rage at your way sick dis and begins climbing down. When he's close, you brace your legs against the hull and push, but the pirate is ready for it and holds on tight. What he's not ready for is the fact that you pushed at an angle, sending you out into space, and then back to the ship further to the left of where you had been. You grab another rope, and in the same smooth action reach up and send your sword through his rope, just above of where he's holding. You watch as man and rope fall, silhouetted by the burning deck of Vesselmania 4. They disappear into the flames. You're fired, you say.
Oh.
You manage to climb up quite a bit before another pirate takes his place. I hope for your sake you've got another trick up your sleeve. Push out from the ship, use your legs as a battering ram, and smash your way inside through a porthole.
Yeah, that sounds like something I would do in this situation.
That's a really good idea. Huh, nicely done. You push out from the ship, use your legs as a battering ram, and smash your way inside through a porthole. You manage somehow to hit the deck, roll, and leap to your feet in one impressively smooth motion. Unfortunately, there's nobody around to see it, as everyone is above decks engaged in battle, and you've landed in the captain's quarters. Around you are the accoutrements of command, the ship's log, and yes, a sword. A much nicer sword, actually, than the one you started this journey with. You decide to take it. You are now wielding the fancy sword. You don't care that you lost your other sword. It sucks now.
Yeah.
You kick down the door. It has a handle, but things were just going that way. You take the ladder to the top deck. You push open the trapdoor and climb out. In front of you is an epic battle. Your crew taking on 2, sometimes 3 pirates at a time. It's amazing. Each success seems to fuel them further. Each pirate body hitting the deck only adding to their experience points. You can almost see them leveling up as you watch. And it's like all their perks are being invested in battle techniques. Suddenly you feel a cold tap on your shoulder. Turning around, you find yourself face to face with the pirate captain. You both raise your swords as you leap into your dueling stances. A pause, and then you rush each other, swords clashing. You thrust and parry back and forth until a moment comes when your swords catch each other, and in that sudden silence you stare across your blades into each other's eyes.
Oh.
You fight like a dairy farmer,
He says. How appropriate. You fight like a... Ow! You say, as he slices at your arm, cutting you. It was superficial this time. You're lucky, dude. The pirate captain gloats at drawing first blood, pointing to you and calling you a bunch of very unkind names that I'm not going to say here because I don't want you to throw down this book so you can try to find and murder this pirate in real life. Just take my word for it. The things he says about you are that bad. On the plus side, while he gloats, there's an opening.
I wanted to
Attack the hand he's
I want to
pointing
address
at you
this
with.
really quickly. It's like you fight like a dairy
Attack the
farmer.
face he's laughing at you with.
How appropriate, you fight like a cow.
Attack the shoulders he's giving structure to his stupid upper body with.
I kind of want to play that game next. Mystery of Monkey Island. I think it's called Mysteries of Monkey Island. Yeah, actually, that it's fuck. That's kind of cool, and it's like you fight like a ow. Oh my! All right, you know what? All right, you know what? I like that line. I like that little portion. It's got references. On the plus side, while he gloats, there's an opening. You should attack. Attack the hand he's pointing at you with.
You drop to one knee and put all your effort into sending your sword upwards at his outstretched hand. You manage to cleave it from his wrist in a single slice. The momentum from the blow carries his hand up into the air, and you both watch, he in shock, you in surprise at how good this awesome sword is, as his detached hand describes an arc directly towards you. It hits your chest with a bloody splat.
Oh,
You brush his hand off your jacket and say, I never knew what it was like to cut off a limb before. Guess now I finally got some first-hand experience.
Oh.
By the way, this was my first sword fight at sea, so thanks for giving me a hand. Hey, hands off the threads.
Oh, they're all as bad as each other. Alright.
The pirate captain screams in rage, charging you with his sword. You deftly parry and sidestep, ending up behind him. The two of you circle each other, flurries of swordplay erupting whenever one of you detects an opportunity. Despite his injury, neither of you is able to gain the advantage on the rain-soaked deck of the ship. Suddenly, lightning strikes the brass rail behind the pirate captain, and he's briefly stunned by the tremendous thunder that follows. You're stunned as well, but being a few feet away, you recover more quickly. There's your opening, Hamlet. Attack his dominant sword-bearing arm. Attack his eyes. Attack his legs. You swing your sword sideways as hard as you can, making contact with his left elbow at full speed. Your sword slices through the flesh easily. He screams and tries to attack you with his other arm, but a second later, you've cut that one off at the elbow too.
Oh,
You
shit.
both look down at his now useless arms, lying on the deck, one hand still clutching his sword. The perfect thing to deadpan suddenly comes to mind, the words crystallizing in your head like they were written for you by the very gods themselves. All hands on deck. Hey, who here thinks I'm winning this fight? Can I maybe get a show of hands? Huh, looks like you're not as well armed as you thought.
Oh, hands off deck.
The pirate screams at you, livid. He's lost some very important body parts, but he's not going to stop. He's out of control with rage, and he will fight you right to the end. You can't let your guard down. He'll take you apart with his teeth if you let him. It's time to finish this, Hamlet. Deliver.
Alright.
The captain tries to spit in your face. You stab him right in the chest, piercing a lung. He gasps and swears at you. Save your breath, you say. You take a step back and slice off the captain's chin, sending it flying into the rigging. Come on, keep your chin up, you yell, slicing again at his face. You cut off the tip of his nose and it flies overboard. You know what they say, you say grimly,
God.
taking your sword in both hands. Follow your nose. With one huge strike, you behead the pirate captain.
Oh, shit.
His head rolls at your feet, and you
No,
kick it
not
overboard
another
into
one.
the ocean.
He's gonna.
Let me just say, holy crap! Never in your life have you fought so well. This was awesome. Literally awesome. If you live to be 1,000 years old, you'd never have a fight go so amazingly well as it did today. You're catching your breath when you hear familiar voices yell, Hamlet! Turning around, you see Rosencrantz and Guildenstern rushing towards you.
Bros!
They survived. In fact, they did more than survive the battle. Like you, they thrived in it. All around them lie the bodies of pirates, and your crew dispatches the last few survivors. This is incredible. Calypso's gale is yours. The storm surrounding her is clearing as quickly as it appeared in the first place. Sun pierces through the clouds. You and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern hug each other, and your crew cheers. Pulling back, Guildenstern notices the blood on your jacket, and then the headless torso on the floor. What happened to the captain? Asked Guildenstern.
Don't you
know,
dare.
you say. Last
Oh.
he was headed for sea. Oh, says Rosencrantz. Does that mean you cut off his head and then threw it overboard? Let's just say that when he fought me, he got in a little over his
Oh,
head.
come on.
Oh, you cut off his head and then threw it overboard, says Rosencrantz. Take command of this larger, much nicer...
Alright.
You do that, and make Rosencrantz and Guildenstern your first officers. Congratulations, Captain Hamlet. Calypso's gale is yours to command. Your crew
Sweet.
demands a speech, cheering and hollering at you. Stepping up onto the highest part of Calypso's bridge, you decide to give them what they want. You hold your hands out in front of you and ask for silence. They quiet, and in the moment before you speak, the only noise you hear is the sound of waves gently splashing on the hull beneath you. A peaceful, beautiful sound. It's a perfect moment. You look at your crew, and they at you. People often speak of the machinery of fate, you say, as though the course of our lives is governed by some untouchable, unknowable clockwork. Well, if fate be a machine, today she was a machine that transformed us all into an unstoppable force of vengeance. Your crew cheers wildly. Gods even. Your crew cheers even louder. Yes, you say. Today, we truly were gods from the machine.
Your crew resumes their duties. This was a really amazing part of your adventure, Hamlet. You're sure that, should you ever one day write a book about this story or perhaps a stage production, you'd definitely include this scene. Why, you'd have to be literally crazy to write a story where you journey to England, get attacked by pirates, actual pirates, but then just sum up that whole adventure in a single sentence. Ha, that'd be the worst. Who puts
Oh,
a pirate attack scene in their story and doesn't show it to the audience? Hopefully nobody, that's who. Even from a purely structural viewpoint, you've got to give the audience something awesome to make up for all the introspection you've been doing. That just seems pretty obvious is all. Anyway, enough crazy hypotheticals. To where will you make sail? Sail to England. This party is just getting started. Sail back to Denmark to revenge yourself on Claude.
all right. Let's go.
While
Let's
sailing
go
to
back.
Denmark, you and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern come up with a
Don't think
plan.
there's that much
Clearly,
left
King Claudius
before we
wants
can
his
start
death,
getting weird
but
with the
he isn't willing
choices.
to move overtly, hence the letter he planted on your friends. Heck, even the pirate attack could have been orchestrated by him. It's impossible to know who he's gotten to while you've been gone. You can't trust anyone. You decide to attack Claudius head-on from Calypso's gale. Attack Claudius more discreetly, lest a frontal attack from a pirate ship disturb the people of Denmark and...
Yeah.
Rather than sailing into shore and attacking the king head-on, you decide not to tip your hand. This is the plan you come up with. You'll approach Denmark at night, flying Danish flags. Calypso's gale will stay out from shore, looking like any other trader, but will remain ready to move on your signal. You'll leave Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in command, dive overboard into the ocean, and swim to shore. Once there, you'll compose and send 3 letters to Horatio by messenger. The first will be addressed to Claudius and read, "Hey, I'm back from England, all by myself. Surprised? You will be, tomorrow, when I see you. P.S.
Wait.
I am naked."
What do you mean?
Hopefully you'll be able to scare/confuse him into some rash overt action against you, which you'll be able to counter with Calypso's help. The second goes to your mother and reads, "Hey Mom, I'm still mad at you for marrying Claudius, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna kill him. So, try to act surprised?" The third and final letter is for your friend Horatio and says, "Hey Horatio, crazy story. Pirates attacked, and they took me hostage, but just me. And then they brought me back to Denmark because I said I'd do them a favor. Speaking of which, can you make sure these other 2 letters reach Mom and Uncle Dad? Then come see me real quick, okay? I'll be down by the docks."
Uncle Dad.
That should be enough to both ensure your letters are delivered, and to see if Claudius has gotten to Horatio while you are away. If he hasn't, Horatio can help you take down Claudius. If he has, well, you'll deal with Horatio the same way you dealt with the pirates, with your swords and your wits, both deadly sharp, and both insanely pointed. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern agreed to your plan. You arrive near Denmark shore in the middle of the night, the waves silver with reflected moonlight. "Good luck, my friends," you tell Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. "And to you," they reply. "You've both grown so much this trip. It's been so great, you've never felt closer to these awesome dudes." You dive into the sea and swim for shore. Reach shore and send letters.
Right, let's go.
You send your letters. You have time before the messenger will deliver them, so you wander down to the docks. You get the attention of a passerby who looks like she works here. "Excuse me, what's that ship over there?" you say, pointing as casually as you can at your insanely majestic ship.
Her? That's, Calypso's gale. Looks like a Danish trader. I imagine she'll be docking in a few hours,"
she says. "Oh, neat," you say. Everything's going according to plan. You wave to the ship just in case Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are watching and wander around, waiting for Horatio to show up. You eat some fried fish. It is really yummy. Suddenly you feel a tap on your shoulder. Looking around, you see your old friend Horatio. "Hamlet, you're back," he says, hugging you. "Did you deliver my letters?" you ask. "Yep. So, what's your story? Pirates attacked and only took you hostage? And then they brought you back here for no reason? Haha, that's so crazy. That's really what happened?" Do you
Yeah.
trust Horatio? If you do, you'll let him in on the full story. If you don't, you'll let him think that only you made it back from the trip.
What's the...
Trust Horatio. No way he'd side with my murderous stepdad over me. We saw a ghost together. You just don't turn away from that.
Trust no one.
Yes, that is exactly what happened, you say. "What about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern?" he asks. "They, died," you say. "The king wanted to murder me, and he got them to carry a letter telling the English king to kill me. Yes, that's it. And so I, secretly, replaced that note with a forgery
that told him to kill Rosencrantz and Guildenstern instead. They're dead now. Because, as I said earlier in my letter, the pirates left after they captured me. Yes, everything fits together nicely. It's a good lie, close to the truth, so it won't be hard to keep straight. Whoa, Horatio says. Bro, that's cold. What did Rosencrantz
Fuck,
and
Horatio kind of
Guildenstern
pisses me
do to
off.
deserve that? Yes. That is a reasonable question. And the reasonable answer is that they carried the letter from Claudius on purpose. And they were allied with him all along, and I trust them as much as I trust snakes. Huh, says Horatio. Oh, and I would totally kill anyone who was secretly working for my stepdad, you say, making significant eye contact with him. Huh, says Horatio, perfectly neutrally. Darn those even-handed non-committal responses that tell you nothing. You've been walking as you talk, and you and Horatio find yourselves in the graveyard. It's close to the river everyone takes their drinking water from, which I guess kinda explains why people act so crazy around here. Spoiler alert, water contamination. Spoiler alert, this is gross. There are two gravediggers here. Wait, hold up. One of them is leaving. Off to have his own adventures, no doubt. Do you ever think about that, Hamlet? About all the people you pass in the street and how they're each the star of their own little narrative? How it's weird that people who you'll never talk to are off having their own lives, building their own stories? And isn't it crazy that from their point of view, you'd be a minor character? Entirely forgettable? Well, it's true. And in this Gravedigger story, you play the role of guy who shows up and toots just as I leave. You toot. He leaves. The remaining Gravedigger is singing. Listen to his singing.
Alright, let's
The
listen to it.
Gravedigger sings about being young and in love. He's singing while he digs a grave, you say. Yeah, says Horatio. His job is to dig graves, so he's used to it. Whoa, you say. This whole thing is seriously blowing your mind. The Gravedigger sings about being old now, and the tune is pretty catchy, actually. While he's busy digging this grave, he digs into a pre-existing grave. Remember that in our time period, it's not like this is especially weird or awful. And digs something up. He tosses it behind him. Hey, there is a skull here.
Oh, look,
You
skull.
keep your distance from the Gravedigger, but look at the skull intently. That skull had a tongue in it once, you say to Horatio. Yep, says Horatio. It had jowls too, you say. Yeah, probably, says Horatio. Maybe it was a politician's skull. Ooh, or a courtier. Lord such-a-one or whoever. And look, that guy's throwing it around like it's not even a thing, you say. Lord such-and-such, you mean, sighs Horatio, as the Gravedigger digs up another skull. There are now two skulls here. The other skull seems pretty interesting, too. You close your eyes and think very clearly. Look, other skull. Then you open your eyes and examine the other skull intently. I'm not gonna lie. From this distance, it definitely looks a lot like the first skull. You're fascinated by it, though. Maybe that other skull was a lawyer's skull, you say, nudging Horatio. Look at him now. Where's his impressive lawyer tricks now, huh? His fancy rhetoric for the judge and jury. He's dead, says Horatio. Why doesn't he sue this guy for assault after he dug up his skull with a shovel if he's such a fancy lawyer, you say? I'd have to say it's probably because he's dead, says Horatio. Maybe it was a landowner's skull instead. Maybe he owned all this land and had all this complicated accounting for it. Ha! Is one of those accounting rules that his empty skull now gets filled up with dirt, you say? Yes, I believe that's generally what happens when you die, says Horatio. You stare at him wildly, then back to the skull, then back to Horatio. Then you stare at the skull for a bit. Listen, Horatio says, maybe you want to talk to the Gravedigger for a while. I'm sure he'd find your viewpoint absolutely novel and riveting. The Gravedigger and you chat back and forth.
I'm just gonna skip forward a little bit. Just gonna move
Anyway, you decide
forward
to-
a little bit. Jesus Christ. Talk about Yorick.
You pick up the skull and hold it out in front of you. You begin to feel inspired,
This is the
Alas.
alas poor Yorick.
you say. I knew him, Horatio. A fellow of infinite jest, of most excellent fancy. He hath borne me on his back 1,000 times, and now, how abhorred in my imagination it is. My gorge rises at it. Here hung those lips that I have kissed, I know not how oft.
What?
Where be your jibes now? Your gambols, your songs, your flashes of merriment, that were wont to set the table on a roar. Not one now to mock your own grinning. Quite chapfallen? Now get you to my lady's chamber and tell her, let her paint an inch thick. To this favor she must come. Make her laugh at that. What my friend means to say, says Horatio, is that he remembers York and the fun times they shared, but now to look at his gross remains makes him want to drop a barf.
Ah,
Says the gravedigger. He then asks the dead lifeless skull where its jokes and songs are, and then tells the skull to go to his girlfriend's room and tell her that no matter how much makeup she puts on, she'll end up like him one day, Horatio says.
well, not exactly like him,
Says the gravedigger.
as male and female skulls have several structural differences.
You interrupt them both. Horatio, do you think Alexander the Great looked like this after he was buried?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, props, says Horatio. The skull is smelly, you say. Yeah, probs, says Horatio. Do you think it's weird that we can be alive and be kings of the world, but then we die and return to the earth, and then someone might use that earth to make mud, and use that mud to fix a hole in a barrel? Who uses mud to fix a... Horatio begins, but you interrupt him. You can also use mud to patch a wall, you say. Suddenly, you're startled by noises. It sounds like screaming. Investigate noises. Suddenly, sit straight up in bed, fully awake. You, Horatio, and the gravedigger investigate the noises and discover that they were caused by Gertrude, your mom, Claudius, your new dad that you swore you'd murder, Larides, Ophelia's brother. You haven't really hung out with him that much, actually. A priest, priests are ordained ministers of the church, and a coffin. Coffins are what people get buried in. Dude, you should know this. It seems like Gertrude was... screaming? Wailing? Weird. You elbow your friend. Hey, you say. Look how sucky that coffin is. Look how small the ceremony is. It must have been someone who killed themselves. You know what'd be hilarious? If we stayed and watched. Listen, Hamlet, there's something you should know, Horatio says. Shh, you say. Look, that's Larides, you say to the gravedigger. You pause and stare at him intently. Yeah, he's pretty rad, you say. Hamlet, Horatio says, don't you wonder why Larides is at a funeral? Maybe if he's here, it means it might be someone close to him who died. You cut him off. I can't eavesdrop on people in their most private moments of grief if you keep trying to have a serious conversation about a life or death matter with me, you hiss at him. Turning your attention back to Larides, you see him arguing with the priest, asking for more rights. More rights, he says. But the priest says he's done all the rights he should do already, and then some. Since this person committed suicide, called it, they don't get as many rights.
If we do any more rites, we'll profane the blessed souls of the other people buried here, he says.
You, Horatio, and the gravedigger all wince as you glance at the skulls he's dug up. Whoops. Larides continues to argue with the priest.
Oh, fine. Go ahead and lay her here, Jerkarama priest,
Larides says.
My sis will be an angel in heaven while you're burning in hell.
They lower her body into the grave. Wow, he's really upset. Wait, sister? Ophelia's dead?
Oh. Oops.
Ophelia's dead? You say out loud, shocked. The gravedigger shrugs. He's not friends with any of these people. I tried to tell you, Horatio says. I meant to tell you earlier, but you seemed so happy to be back, and I wasn't... Look, I'm sorry, Hamlet. She passed away shortly after you left on your trip. Gertrude and Larides and Claudius are still unaware that you're here. Gertrude throws flowers on her grave, saying that she'd always hoped Ophelia would marry you, and that instead, she'd be throwing flowers on her wedding bed. Geez, Gertrude, inappropriate. That is not something for a new mother-in-law to do for newlyweds. Larides curses 3 times whomever it was who robbed Ophelia of her sanity, and then curses them again 10 times, 3 times for a total of 33 curses. Then he jumps into the grave so that he might hold her in his arms once more. Geez, Larides, that's like double inappropriate to the power of 3 for a total of 8 inappropriates. Okay, so they're all really upset and acting crazy. The right thing to do here is go home, approach them later, and say you saw them at the funeral but didn't want to interrupt. Also, it'll give you a chance to deal with your grief too, which you should be feeling. You are feeling it, aren't you, Hamlet? She was your sweetie, and you've come back from a trip to find her dead of apparent suicide. What do you do? Go home and talk to everyone later.
What do we do?
Step from the shadows and introduce yourself dramatically.
Be
Be Ophelia.
But she's dead. Alright.
You step out of the shadows of the graveyard, leaving Horatio and the gravedigger behind. Who's the men whose grief is so extreme, whose words of sorrow can make even the stars themselves stand still and wonder in sadness at what they hear? It's me, Hamlet the Dane. Then you hop into the grave, joining Larides there. Why not? Emotions are a competition, right? Larides sees you and screams in rage.
The devil take thy soul,
He shouts, which, I mean, if you're going to yell anything, it's pretty much the awesomest and classiest thing to yell at a time and place like this. And with that, you fight. That's right. You and Larides fight. In a graveyard. During a funeral. In an open grave. With the coffin of Ophelia at your feet. This is how you choose to live your life. Larides punches you in the teeth, and you stagger back
Ooh.
until you collide with the muddy grave wall. You raise your eyes up to Larides, wiping blood from your mouth with the back of your hand. You glance down at your bloodied hand. That's a funny way to pray, you say, and laugh. Larides looks at you. Here's how I do it. You jump at him, forcing your head into his chest as hard as you can. He falls backwards, winded, gasping for air. Our Father, you say, your left fist connecting with his cheek. Who art in heaven. Here, your right fist collides in a punishing blow with his jaw. Hallowed be thy. His arms shoot out and encircle your throat, and before you can react, he squeezes. You see stars dance around the edge of your vision. You don't want to do that, you gasp, but Larides only squeezes tighter.
Now why's that, Hamlet?
He says, smirking, mock concern written on his face. You lock eyes with him. There's something dangerous inside of me, and you should be afraid of it, you say. I am.
Oh my
Shouldn't make me
fucking
angry,
god.
Larides. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Larides laughs at you, and you feel almost giddy. You can feel yourself losing control. You can feel yourself starting to want it. I won't tell you again, little man, you say, unsure if you're threatening him or pleading with him. Take your hands off. Turn into a gamma-irradiated monster. Continue being Hamlet.
What the fuck is this? Alright, we're gonna be Hamlet still.
Rather than embracing the madness, you bring your hands up between Larides' hands and, bashing them outwards, free your neck from his grasp. You're vaguely aware of your mother shouting your name as you punch Larides over and over again, avoiding his own punches as best you can. You're both getting in some good hits. Finally, Horatio and the gravedigger jump down into the grave and hold the two of you apart. You're both trying to break free.
What the heck is this about?
Yells your mother.
This is a funeral, and you're fighting in an open grave for no reason.
Mom, Larides is saying he loved Ophelia more than I did, you say. I loved her more than 40 billion to stupid old brothers,
He really is crazy.
says Claudius. I'll eat a crocodile to prove how serious I am, you offer.
What?
I'm sorry for my crazy son.
Gertrude says.
Usually he calms down after a little while.
You decide to prove her right. Turning to Larides, you say, listen, bro, why are you treating me like this? I've done nothing to deserve this. But Larides stares at you, aghast, almost like he holds you responsible for Ophelia's death? Anyway, you say, Hamlet out. You leave. A little while later, Horatio catches up with you. Hey, sorry. Claudius made me leave too. What about the gravedigger, you say? I think he's...
I'm just gonna
But-
skip through this. Talk to Horatio about the private trip again. Alright, okay, we've done the... Alright, yeah. I just want to get to... There's a lot of... Greet the new day. Just get to the final
This
stage.
is it, Hamlet. This is the day you confront
Okay,
Claudius.
sweet. Alright, finally.
You put on your best confronting the king tights, and your fancy is confronting the king's scabbard. Don't worry, I looked it up. It's a sheath for holding a sword. You and Horatio are walking into the castle when Osric shows up. Hey, I know this guy. He's a member of the royal court, and he's super manipulable. Here, I'll show you. Put your hat on, you say to Osric.
No thanks. It's too hot today.
He says. No, man, it's cold. With winds from the north and a 30% chance of precipitation, you reply.
Oh yeah, it's cold.
He says. And yet, it's also super hot and humid, you say.
Yes, it's quite hot out.
He says. See? See? Okay, I need to apologize because I've been making fun of your choices this entire book. But when I took over here, all I did was have a pointless conversation with a dude who isn't even a real character in this story. I'm sorry. Maybe this isn't as easy as it looks. So I'll tell you what Osric's here to say. The king wants you to fence with Laertes, and he's gone ahead and made a bet. He thinks that in a dozen rounds, Laertes won't win by more than 3 hits. Oh, and he's put 6 horses on the line, 6 swords complete with sword accessories, and 3 fancy carriages. He is wagering all this neat stuff. On the one hand, you're here to expose Claudius, not Laertes. And fighting Laertes won't actually solve anything at all, and is entirely unrelated to avenging your father's death. Also, he's probably upset about, you know, his sister and father dying, and I'm not really sure what sword fighting him will accomplish in the helping him get past his grief department. On the other hand, well, no, actually, I can't think of a good reason why you should fight this guy. I, the author of this story, who has imagined this entire realm wholesale and brought it to life inside my head, cannot conceive of a single reason why you should fight Laertes. What do you do? Accept
the fight.
Okay, let's do this, you say. Why not, right? It's not like you've got anything else going on. That was sarcastic. Osric leaves and then comes back immediately.
King wants to know if you'll fight him now,
He says.
he's just in there.
Oh, right, I forgot to mention. You're right outside the royal court, which is also the castle fencing room. Anyway, messenger's gonna message, right? You say that's fine, and Osric says okay and leaves. Horatio turns to you. Listen, man, I don't think you should do this. I don't think you're gonna win, Hamlet, he says. Sure I am, you say. I've been practicing fencing since the start of this story. What? Says Horatio. And I'm saying, what? 2. Because there have been 0 fencing scenes, like, at all. Unless you count the pirate battle. But that was more sword fighting than fencing. There's a difference, you know. They both require swordsmanship, but in the same way that poetry and essays are both writing. You realize that you were lying just now and start to feel bad about your chances. Maybe I won't win after all, you say. I suddenly feel a sense of foreboding that would perhaps trouble a woman. Ah, jeez, Hamlet.
Jeez.
Talk about how sometimes you say terrible things about women, and how sometimes, in private moments of reflection, you wonder what that says about you.
No, we're not talking about that yet.
You talk about free will. Providence controls everything, even a sparrow's death, you say. If something's supposed to happen now, it will. If it's supposed to happen later, then it won't happen now. All that matters is that we're prepared for it. Wait, says Horatio. If you subscribe to a destiny as all worldview, where things happen when they're supposed to, how does preparedness enter in?
Okay, let's go.
You stand around for a bit. Suddenly, Claudius enters. And your mom too. And Laertes. And a bunch of other people you don't know. Wow, it looks like this plot is going to advance itself whether you want it to or not. Claudius makes you and Laertes shake hands, and you apologize to Laertes as you do it. You explain that, as a victim of mental illness, you should not be held criminally responsible for your actions, and it's a very nice speech except you are only faking being crazy. So all in all, it's sort of a dick move on your part. You draw the analogy of firing an arrow over your house and accidentally hitting your brother, and how in this situation it's not really your fault for injuring him. Laertes accepts your apology, and is polite enough not to ask why you're recklessly firing arrows over your house in the first place. He still wants to fence you, though. What the heck? It's a pretty wide hallway, and everyone's already here. Guess you're going to fence right in this hallway. Why not, right? Osric offers you some swords. They're all pretty much the same, so whatever sword you choose doesn't really matter. Choose the sword on the left. Choose the sword in the middle.
We'll pick the sword on the right.
You and Laertes settle on the swords you like and face off against each other. As you're about to begin, Claudius speaks.
Let's make this a drinking game.
He says. You say.
If you make the first hit,
Claudius says.
then we'll both take a drink.
Okay, you say.
But if Laertes hits you, and you only make the second hit,
He says.
then we'll both take a drink too.
Okay, you say.
Oh, and if Laertes hits you twice before you make a hit, so you only make the third hit, then we'll both take a drink.
I'm not sure if I should get drunk during a fencing match, you say.
I'll put a pearl in your drink, haha. There's nothing suspicious about that.
Claudius says. Not really super thirsty either way, you say. Claudius stares at you. Can we fence now? You say. The fencing match begins. Larides moves towards you, sword at the ready. What do
Alright.
you do?
Go for his upper body.
You decide to attack his upper body but hesitate. Maybe the lower body is better after all. He wouldn't be expecting it. You're about to change your mind and attack the lower body when you get hit on the back of the head with a piece of dirt. The audience is heckling you with dirt. This makes you mad, which makes you attack his upper body after all. You jab and thrust towards Larides' upper body. He deftly parries, blocking your every attack and returning them with attacks of his own, using your own momentum against you. This isn't as easy as it was on the pirate ship. It seems like Larides really knows what he's doing. Every time it looks like you might make a hit, Claudius seems really excited and raises his glass. Wow, this is one thirsty usurper to the throne. Finally, and not without quite a bit of luck, you land a glancing blow on Larides' left shoulder. Got you, you say. Nuh-uh, he says. Ref, you say.
Am I the ref?
Says Osric.
I am? Oh. Yeah, that was a hit. Palpably so. Hooray!
Claudius says.
Let's drink. Hamlet, come drink. Look, I put a foreign substance in your drink.
I'm in the middle of fencing here, Claudius, you say. Claudius looks crestfallen. He lowers the drink as the fencing match begins again. Go for lower body this time. You aim for his lower body, and Larides is unprepared for this, and you totally score a hit right away. Knight. Got you, you say. Okay, you got me, Larides says.
Our son will win.
Says Claudius calmly. Hello, I'm not your son, you shout in reply. Just then, your mom calls you fat and lazy and offers you a napkin to rub off your sweat because she
What the
thinks
f-
you're so fat you're already sweating out of your forehead from just one little fight.
What the
Whoa,
fuck?
Where'd that come from? What the butt, Mom? You say. Where'd that come from?
Whatever.
She says, and holds up the goblet Claudius poured for you.
Look, I'm ironically drinking to your good health and fortune.
What?
Don't drink that.
Claudius says.
I drinks what I wants.
Your mom says. And then she does just that, drinking what she wants.
Ah, jeez. That's the poison cup. It's too late for you now.
Claudius says.
Say,
Pretend you didn't hear him.
Really? You're gonna pretend you didn't hear your stepdad? The one you're here to take revenge on, I remind you? When he says he just poisoned your mother? When they invented Choose Your Own Path books, I'm pretty sure they were assuming you wouldn't choose to be insane. So thanks for proving them wrong, I guess. Okay, you ignore him. And since this is your adventure, everyone else ignores him too. Why not, right? You and Larides continue your fight. At one point, Larides says that what he's doing is almost against his conscience, which seems like a weird thing to say in a friendly, non-fatal fight like this. But you ignore that too. Hooray! Your ears are useless. You fight back and forth, and at one point your swords clash in front of you, and there's a moment of silence as both of you try to overpower the other. This is your chance to say something awesome. Bring it on, you try to say as grimly and badassedly as possible. But somehow it comes out as, I pray you, pass with your best violence. I am afeard you make a wanton of me. So, oh well. Pushing as hard as you can, you manage to force Larides' sword aside. But in the fighting that ensues, he manages to cut you on your arm. Enraged, you break the rules of sword fighting just a little and kick his hand, sending his sword flying. In response, he kicks at your hand, sending your sword flying to the exact same spot. You both scramble towards the swords, trying to rearm your... You grab the right sword while Larides grabs the left. In the flurry of swordplay that ensues, you cut Larides on his leg while at the same time, Larides cuts your leg. It is a perfect symmetry. Fortunately for you, the sword you grabbed had poison on its tip. Life's full of surprises, huh? And this new surprise is that Larides is now poisoned. Very soon you're going to be responsible for an extremely public murder. But don't worry too much. Since it was Larides' sword that was poison-tipped in the first place, that means you too are poisoned from that earlier cut. Hooray! Okay, just to summarize real quick. You still haven't killed Claudius, but you have managed to poison your one-time, now dead, girlfriend's brother, get poisoned yourself, and allow your mother to be poisoned too. If you're wondering about your score, right now it's at, oh, I don't know, negative 55,000 kilopoints. Gertrude collapses from the poison you ignored earlier, and feigning ignorance, you say, how's the queen? And Claudius says,
She fainted because you guys are bleeding.
and she says,
no, I'm poisoned from the drink.
and then she dies. We've been betrayed, you shout. And then feigning ignorance again, you shout, quick, lock the doors. Let's find out who did it. Laertes, a man who is dying as we speak, is thus forced to spend his last few moments alive explaining to you very clearly and with no big words that your mother was poisoned by the king. He also explains to you that you've been poisoned too, but I already told you that. It's too bad too, because he said it very nicely, all, Hamlet, thou art slain. No medicine in the world can do thee good. Well, I was all, wooby wooby woo, jokes, jokes, jokes. No, I am paraphrasing. Anyway, now is your absolute last chance. You have a poisoned sword in your hand, and Claudius is sitting here in front of you. You will be dead in one turn. What do you do? Last chance, Hamlet. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Finally, you are killing Claudius. Oh my god, finally. Oh my god. Okay, let's do this. You stab Claudius a few times with the poisoned sword, but man, poison is slow and you've already got it in your system. So then you pick up the poison goblet and force it down his throat, all the while calling him an incestuous, murderous goddamn Dane. Wow. I mean, it's a little racist. At least, partially self-racist too. So, irony. But still, wow. It's a huge dose of poison, and he dies instantly. What's that? You didn't know poison worked that way? Well, that's weird because I'm pretty sure it just did. Meanwhile, as the poison starts to kill you, Laertes forgives you for the deaths you've caused, and asks you to forgive him of the same. And you do it. It's actually pretty classy. Then you call Horatio over. Horatio, you say. Don't be crazy and chug the poison too. It's your job to tell everyone my story so people know what really happened. You need to tell the people. Okay, says Horatio, glancing at the surrounding crowd which has already seen this all go down. Oh, and write it down when you do, so future generations will know, you say. Okay, says Horatio.
Ratio. Okay.
Oh, and make it one of those choose-your-own-adventure dealies, you say. I love those. Right, says Horatio. Suddenly you hear an army marching in. Osric runs in and says that Fortinbras is here and marching on the capital with some English ambassadors. Remember Fortinbras? He's that Norwegian crown prince whose father died and who decided right away to take action. He's almost like a parallel to you, only, you know, better. Anyway, you're not going to survive long enough to talk to him. You're actually not going to survive long at all. It's time, Hamlet, to choose your last words to Horatio. Well, last words ever, really. Oh, I die, Horatio. The potent poison quite o'crows my Nicely said, Hamlet. I've got to give you a few points for that. So, your final score is, let's say
675
points out of 1,000.
C+.
That's a solid C+. You took a heck of a long time to kill Claudius, but you did do the pirate side quest, which is nice, because it was my mistake to put it so late in the story anyway. We'll open with it in the remastered edition. Okay, thanks for playing. Good night, sweet prince, and flights of angels sing thee to thy rest. The end.
That's cool. Okay.
So, you're still here, huh? Story's over, dude. Don't just...
Alright, let's reread the book. I'm gonna make some...
born. Congratulations, good work on that thing. Now, surprise! Babies are boring, so we're gonna jump ahead in time to a point where you're an adult, and you've already lived a bunch of your life.
Okay, alright. Alright. Let's go. Let's start as Hamlet scene there.
You are King Hamlet.
Okay.
All of Denmark is under your command. Everything's going so great for you. At present, you are in Norway, where just this afternoon, you led Denmark's forces to an astounding victory during which you personally killed the Norwegian king.
Awesome.
Stabbed him right through the head, you did. His eye popped out and rolled on the ground, and then you stepped on it.
Why?
Whoa. Your ass is bad. You are a badass. You decide after a day of being good at fighting, you should have a nap.
Okay.
You've earned it. You settle down in an orchard for some nappy times. During your delightful rest, your brother pours some poison in your ear, and you die.
Oh.
Surprise! You didn't know poisons work that way. Wow. You've barely made one choice so far, and you're dead already. Way to go, champ. You're really good at books, huh?
Oh.
It's just a stellar job you're doing here, Chuckles. The end.
Oh.
Okay, fine. I feel sorry for you. Here's a choice that you can choose. Become a ghost.
Do not become a ghost.
You choose non-existence over being able to float and having spooky powers. It wasn't even a good one, but it is the last decision you ever make. Until you play this book again, that is. The end. P.S. I hope you do play this book again, because there is more to it than dying like an ultra chump in the first 2 turns.
It's time for the hammometer. Oh, is it grading me? What does this do? Blade weapons poison 2. High fives given. Naps hat nats. Poisons misused 9. Stab stabbed 4. Puns dealt 8. Stockings be fouled 1. Tasteless sexism is 5. Choices made 114. Times you were. Times you weren't. Games of tennis played. What? I could have played tennis? Restart the adventure.
William Shakespeare, 1564 AD.
Alright. Let's choose the character.
You have just been born.
Fuck, let's go with Ophelia.
Right, you're Ophelia. You are a beautiful and independent young woman, and although it makes you roll your eyes when you think about it, you've fallen in love with a prince. Prince Hamlet is funny and charming, and he seems to like you a lot. You try not to get too excited about it, because you're worried you might jinx it. But things really are going great. Only it's been hard doing the long-distance thing while you've both been off at university. And while you've loved studying capital S science, and you're sure Hamlet's loved studying capital U undeclared, it hasn't been easy. Now that you're both back together in Denmark for his father's funeral and his mother's second wedding, it's been harder still. Hamlet's really sad, and you can't blame him for that since, you know, his dad died. But you wish there was something you could do to help him. When you last saw him, Hamlet mentioned how the castle seemed cold and drafty, and for some reason it stuck with you. You've been sitting at your desk, trying to think of something you could give him that would help with that. A way of cheering him up a little. Remind him he's still got people who care about him. He wears these cloaks all the time, but then he's taking them off in warm rooms and putting them back on in cold ones. If only there was some way you could keep the rooms at a uniform temperature, he wouldn't need to be constantly adjusting his clothes throughout the day. But to do that, you'd need some way of measuring heat, and a way of transporting it through the castle, perhaps through a series of pipes. Your thoughts are interrupted by a knock at your door.
Who is it?
You call.
It's me.
Says your brother.
Come on, let me in.
Let him in.
No, I'm busy.
I'm busy.
You shout through the door to Larides.
I'm leaving for France soon.
He shouts back.
Don't you want to say goodbye? Apparently not.
You shout in reply.
Whatever.
Larides yells. He storms off, stomping all the way. You sit in silence for a moment. He stomps back.
Say bye to Dad for me, okay?
He shouts.
Okay, I will.
You yell through the door. He storms off again. To France, I guess? Brothers, am I right?
Return to the work.
At your desk, you continue your work on the problem of automatically heating the castle. Hours turn into days, and you're generally left alone by both your family and your boyfriend. Your father ignoring you is no big deal, and while you're a little worried about Hamlet not stopping by more often, he has asked you to leave him alone for a while he mourns, and you're respecting his wishes. But if you're going to be honest with yourself, you've also just gotten really absorbed in this problem. You decide to split the problem into sections, delivering heat and knowing when to deliver heat. It would be possible to put servants in every room and have them report when it's too cold, but that's both expensive and unreliable. It depends on the servant, the warmth of their clothes, how much they love to lie to people about what temperature their skin is sensing, and so on. You're wandering the castle grounds when it hits you. You've been thinking about how water expands when it freezes, and how that could be used to tell you when it's cold, but it's not much use for measuring temperatures outside the freezing point. Your father, Polonius, happens to wander by, talking to himself about the evils of drink, and you realize, alcohol! The right alcohol would expand linearly with heat, and by putting it in a slender glass vial, you could measure the size of that liquid, which would correspond 1-to-1 with temperature. Put the same markings on each of these glass vials at the same temperatures, and you've got a universal, comparable, and consistent way of measuring heat. You wouldn't have to rely on a servant's impression. They could just tell you what line the alcohol has reached. You run back to your room to start working on the prototype. Just as you complete it, you hear a knock at your door.
Who is it?
You call, and oh my, who should answer from the other side of the door? Seriously, who should answer from the other side of the door? Your boyfriend Hamlet. Your father Polonius. Your best friend Dramysio Mimus.
Let's have a chat with this guy.
Hamlet is at the door. That's right.
Oh.
Turns out that simply wishing for someone to be at your door doesn't change who's actually there.
Oh,
You don't control reality with your thoughts, Ophelia. Sheesh.
okay.
Anyway, Hamlet
Fair
opens the
enough.
door and steps into your room. It's me, he says. You haven't seen each other for a while. It's so great to see him. You run up and throw your arms around him and you smooch. It's just like old times. But the moment passes. And when you look at his face, you can see concern written all over it. He's troubled by something. Ask him what's troubling him.
G'day there, lazy.
Wait for him to... You wait, doing nothing, and he pulls away from you and holds you at arm's length. Listen, he says. And then he begins unbuttoning his jacket, taking his garters off, and... Oh gosh, yes, he's actually doing it. He's fouling his stockings.
What's wrong, Hamlet?
You ask in alarm. What you say next sounds like the obvious question, but you ask it anyway.
Why are you fouling your stockings?
Instead of answering, he grabs you by the wrist. You come to the entirely obvious conclusion that he's not acting like himself.
What's up, bro?
This conclusion is reinforced in the next few moments, when he moves his other hand to his forehead as if he might faint. But instead of fainting, he stares at you intensely.
Hamlet, I don't know why you're doing this.
You begin, and he sighs really loudly. It's the most intense sigh you've ever heard. It's actually kind of impressive.
Look, if you'll just talk to me, we can
You begin, and he sighs again, so loudly that it literally drowns out your words.
It's
Fine,
so...
weirdo. Let's play the wrist-holding game. Yay!
You meet his eyes, and he sighs one of those ultimate sighs again, then gets up and leaves in what can only be described as the creepiest way possible.
It's a choose your own
walking with his
adventure
hand wrenched
with
over his shoulder so he can
Hamlet.
watch you even as he crab walks out the door.
So,
Well, that was weird. Maybe he's sick. You decide to check in with your dad because, as annoying as he is, he does have some experience in these matters. Follow Hamlet and ask him what's wrong. Maybe you can help him sort things out.
all right, let's find out what's
You
going
ask
on.
him what's wrong, and, well, there's no other way to put this, so I'll give it to you straight. Hamlet tells you about a spooky ghost and a plan for murdering his stepfather Claudius, pretender to the throne. I'll be frank, it sounds crazy. A ghost? Murder? But he is your friend and lover, and you're not going to leave him hanging out to dry. As gently as you can, you tell him you're pretty sure ghosts don't exist. But even if they do, he needs to be certain that the ghost he saw was actually the ghost of his father. What if it was some other ghost trying to mess things up? That seems to give him pause. Hamlet admits he never actually asked the ghost for information only his dad would know. It's possible the ghost could be an imposter.
I'll come with you tonight, sweetie.
You say.
We'll go together. And if a ghost shows up, we'll figure out what to do.
You're confident no ghost will appear, and this will all just go away. You take his hand and squeeze. Hamlet looks up at you, and you can see his relief. Okay, he says, smiling. Go to see the ghost that evening.
Okay. What's the ghost gonna say?
Evening comes, and Hamlet leads you to the spot outside where he first saw the ghost. We have to wait till around midnight, he says. I think that's when he normally shows up. To pass the time, you play a storytelling game you enjoy, where you say one word of a story, and he says the next word.
Okay.
And neither of you knows where the story will go.
Once,
You begin. Upon, he says.
A,
You say. Time, he says.
there.
You say. Was, he says.
A,
You say. Beautiful, he says, looking at you. You smile.
Prince.
You reply, and he smiles back. Who? He says.
Wanted.
You say. Two, he says.
Kiss.
You say. His girlfriend, he says.
That's cheating.
You say. And then you're kissing.
Oh, lovely.
Make out for a while.
Oh.
Don't make out, because, and you can't believe you're thinking this, but what if a ghost catches you making out?
Let's make out for a while.
You make out for what turns out to be quite a while, as the night is warm and the
Have you
stars
ever
are
played that
shining,
game,
and there are no bugs
though,
here
Lacey?
to bite any exposed flesh, and before you know it, you've totally made out as much as
Yeah.
it's possible to totally make out.
Yeah.
Nice. And you fall asleep in each other's arms. If ghosts exist, and if one really did show up, he certainly had the good grace to leave you alone for your makeouts. Also, he was probably embarrassed. You were both way naked. The two of you return to the same spot the next evening, and the evenings after that. But it becomes more and more a date night, and less a specter from beyond the grave wants to get some murders done
Oh
thing.
shit.
King Claudius and Polonius are not exactly thrilled with the two of you being together, but on the flip side, any urges to commit regicide that were floating around have begun to fade too. Though you talk about it often, the whole encounter with the ghost, if it really did happen, takes on the quality of a dream. Rather than do the long-distance thing again, you decide to move in together and get your own place here in Denmark.
Oh, that's nice.
Together, the two of you work on finalizing the invention of the alcohol thermometer. It works. And even figure out the other half of it, a way to move heated air throughout a building.
Yes.
You invented central heating. It's an invention that all of Denmark wants, and most are willing to pay for. While it's not the largest, you do live in the most comfortable estate in the entire country, thanks to the heating money. One bright summer day, as the two of you walk through the castle garden, you get down on one knee and say words to the effect of, "Sweetie, you're the most important person in my life, and I can't imagine ever living without you. I want to make you as happy as you make me every single day. Let's get married." You mean every word. It's not the most traditional proposal in the world, nor is it the most
Hey,
traditional wedding,
step one,
but it's wonderful.
make
and
out.
beautiful
Step
and
two, question mark.
you're
Step
very
three,
happy.
profit.
You don't invite Claudius to the wedding.
Oh,
A few years later, Claudius falls ill with some sort of lung disease, and his doctors are unable to treat it effectively.
okay.
He passes away only a few months later, having never produced an heir. Shortly after, the two of you become the new king and queen of all of Denmark. Your first child, Alex, is born 5 months later, and you all live very happily ever after. The end.
Beautiful. What a beautiful ending. Wow. So yeah, so you've never played that. So it's a game that we used to play in drama quite a bit, where you would be sitting with a partner, and you each say one word each to talk about a story. Oh, it's not to be. Okay. So okay, I understand. Okay. So the hammer-meter. So the crazier I take the story, the less points I think I get. Your stats this time. Shocking to be found. Choices made. Times you were, times you were not. There we go. Restart the adventure. So it's basically Hamlet, but we can basically choose adventures.
William Shakespeare, 15.
Okay, alright, we'll just skip that through. Choose the character.
You have just been born.
Alright, let's go with Hamlet again. I'm gonna try to make it really
You
crazy.
are Hamlet. You're 30 years old and you're back living at home. But it's okay, because your home is a castle. That's right, ladies. You're a prince. Things have been rough lately. You had been trying to focus on your studies at Wittenberg University, where you and your bros, Horatio Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, all hang out. But
Alright, we'll skip through this. Okay. Hold your tongue and just wait around.
you stay silent, but King Claudius addresses you anyway. He says he's king now, and it's time for you to stop mourning, as your father is dead, and everyone has to die sometime, right? Man up, he says. Walk it off, he says. Drop me a letter about it at Not My Problem, number 1, Cheer Up Already Lane, Dopesville, Denmark, he says. Your mom agrees with him, and then when they're done insulting you, they leave. You kind of wish you'd insulted him when you had the chance. In the meantime, you're alone in an empty council room and feeling pretty sad. An empty room offers a ton of possibilities, which include things you can do inside this empty room, such as
Okay.
talk to yourself about how your life is in ruins and how everything just sucks. Leave the room. You're finally home, and it's been weeks since you embarked. Sit on the throne as the Prince of Denmark.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Help me come up with some options, Lazy. If there's any options that you particularly like, we'll go do. What do you reckon? Yeah, I reckon we just talk about how life sucks. Do we leave the room, or do we just sit on the throne like the Prince of Denmark? That's the real question. Oh, I want to have like the music on, but I know it's very sit on the throne. What's in extras anyway? Ah.
You stay silent, but King Claudius addresses you anyway.
Okay. Let's sit on the throne.
Okay, you sit on the throne, and since I like you, I'm going to describe your situation in rhyming
Ooh.
verse. Now this was going to be a story all about how your life got flipped, turned upside down, but instead you're going to sit your butt down in this chair and ignore how you're really Denmark's rightful heir. Whoa! My flow is so awesome that it infects even you. You begin rapping to yourself about yourself. Here's the lyrical truth you lay down. In West Denmark, I was born and raised on a battlefield is where I spent most of my days. Chilling out with dad, time stamping all the fools and all sword fighting Norwegians outside of my school when a couple of armies, they were up to no good, started repulsing our invasion of their neighborhood. Dad died one little time and my mom got scared and said, "I'm marrying your dad's brother, but we weren't having an affair." You feel like you could keep spitting some extremely tight rhymes, but you also feel like you've brought yourself pretty much up
If
to
your
speed in
ass
own
is on the
life.
throne,
Well done,
others
Prince Hamlet.
will offer you
certainly
the
are
ass if you know what.
fresh.
Ooh.
Continue
Oh.
sitting on the throne.
Let's continue sitting on the throne.
While you're busy doing that, your friend Horatio bumps into you and tells you, A, he's in town for your dad's funeral / mom's wedding, and that they serve leftover appetizers from one at the other.
Game of Thrones
B,
deleted scenes.
ghosts are real. C, he's seen one and so have a bunch of other guys. D, it keeps showing up at the same time. And E, he's pretty sure it's the ghost of your dad. Finally, some adventure, some closure. You agree that you'll come with him tonight to see the ghost when it shows up again. It's such an obvious decision that it kind of feels like you don't even have a choice in the matter. Agree to go with Horatio tonight.
Okay, let's go.
I'll be there. 11:30 sharp, you say, and Horatio leaves, satisfied. Well, now you have 8 hours to blow before it's time to meet ghosts. What do you want to do, Hamlet? Be Ophelia for a while.
Let's be Ophelia for a while.
Right, you're Ophelia. You are a beautiful and independent young woman, and although it makes you roll your eyes when you think about it, you've fallen in love with a prince. Prince Hamlet is funny and charming, and he seems to like you a lot. You try not to...
I think that was the same one. Telling me you're busy.
I'm busy, you shout through the...
Oh yeah. So we had that one just.
at your desk.
Yeah, we had this bit.
Hamlet is at the door.
Yeah. Okay. We've done this one. Can I go?
Hamlet is at the door.
Oh
That's
shit.
right. Turns...
Checkpoints. Okay. Back to story.
Hamlet is at the door.
Alright. I thought I could go back.
Evening comes, and Hamlet leads you...
Oh, wait, is this the same fucking bit? Can I, like, go back? Checkpoints in which Claudius, in which Hamlet meets his ghost dad. Alright, we'll go back there.
Don't freak out, but right now you're staring cold in the face of a...
Alright, yeah, here's the dad again. So what? Stare the ghost and blackout as your mind shuts down. Let's do that.
You stare at the ghost intently, and your brain shuts down, and you collapse, unconscious. Surprised? You are now the ghost. Before you is the unconscious body of your son Hamlet. It looks like maybe he tripped too many balls. Yes, that's definitely what happened. There were a lot of balls lying around, and Hamlet tripped on one too many of them. Maybe several. Bottom line, too many balls were definitely tripped. Right here. You expected more from your son than this. To be precise, you expected to be able to tell him that you were murdered by your brother, and that he should, I don't know, revenge your death? Instead, you're staring at a dude you can't even touch. You stick a finger inside Hamlet's head, thinking that maybe if you can touch his brain, he'll wake up. But brains don't work that way, at least not with immaterial fingers made out of ectoplasm or whatever. And you don't make your fingers solid, which is good, because that definitely would have killed him. Wait for him to wake up. See if there's anyone else you can tell about your murder.
Let's see if there's anyone else we
You
can
look
tell
around and
about.
see Hamlet's friend Horatio nearby. He looks like he's freaking out.
Hey,
You say,
listen. Horatio, right? Listen, don't freak out.
he seems to freak out a little less. That's good.
Hey, when Hamlet wakes up, can you tell him my own brother murdered me?
You ask.
Tell him I'm looking for a little revenge.
Horatio nods meekly. If he doesn't want to do it, then I'll make sure to revenge you, Your Majesty's ghost, sir.
Just sir is fine.
You say, smiling in what you hope is a reassuring way. You look at Horatio for a moment.
Well, great, you say. Perfect.
Sweet.
Horatio looks at you. You look at him. He scuffs his feet a little.
So, I guess that's it,
You say,
with my unfinished work now, finished.
Shut up, people
I suppose
don't die.
it's time for me to die for real now.
you fade away
Yeah,
in
it
a
works.
shimmering light.
It could work.
Certain that with Hamlet's intensity and Horatio's probable competence at actually achieving goals, you'll be revenged in no time. What could possibly go wrong, right? Exactly.
Oh.
This is most assuredly 100% solved for real. It's too bad you couldn't stick around to watch the revenging go down, but you don't make the rules. Hey, I guess you're about to find out who, if anyone, does. The end.
Don't freak. Rob should wear a white robe too. Yeah, probably. Bear's married? Start from a checkpoint. Which Hamlet meets a grave digger. Alright, let's go back to this one. Claudius reads a book.
You are Battle Lord Pete, or as you prefer to be called, Dragon Master 3000, since you are the master of 3000 dragons. You are amazing because of all the dragons you control.
Okay. So, have you actually read or seen any productions of Hamlet before, Lazy? Basically, if you haven't, the story goes that the king has been murdered by his brother, who then marries the queen and becomes king. The son comes home from school, like university, to both mourn his father's death, but also to be there for like the wedding for his mum and dad, for his uncle and mum. He finds out his dad's ghost visits him and says that your uncle actually killed me, so my brother killed me so he could marry your mum. So go kill him for me, please. And then basically Hamlet, kind of super depressed throughout the entire thing, basically tries to come up with a plan to kill it. Try to kill it. And by the end of the book, by the end of the play, basically everybody dies. Everybody dies. You know, the uncle, you know, the mum, Hamlet's girlfriend, everybody is fucking dead. Let's go kill skeletons though.
Battle Lord Pete, you pick up your trusty battle axe and stroll into Skeleton Cove, where you heard all the skeletons hang out.
you encounter your first skeleton.
Mad
He bows
Skellies.
theatrically and introduces
It
himself
is a
as
death
Skellington
fest.
of the East Coast Skellingtons. Cut him up with your axe. Tell him you're pleased to meet him. Then inquire if you can axe him a few questions.
Yeah, let's ask him a few questions.
I don't understand the emphasis you're putting on axe,
says Skellington.
but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Your battle axe sends his head flying through the air. Skellington continues talking as his head flies into the sky.
Don't worry about harming me,
His head says as it flies over a nearby mountain.
as I am already dead and this is only an inconvenience. No hard feelings.
You grit your teeth and kick over Skellington's still standing body. I hate to cut and run, you say through your manly grimace as his body collapses into a pile of bones. Then you walk away in slow motion. Knife, to meet you, you say,
Aww.
realizing you really should have used that one sooner. But oh well. You have two options now. You can go kill more skeletons by journeying to Skeleton Homeland and smashing everyone there, or you can go home and return to your family.
Your country was attacked. Go to Skeleton Homeland. Go home to see your family. One skeleton is enough.
Let's go.
Your homeland was just attacked by a ruthless, cunning skeleton invader, and you alone are our last best hope for a bloody, vengeful counterattack. You decide that the best counterattack is a preemptive attack, so you journey to Skeleton Homeland, and on the way, you start cutting up fools before they can even invade. Things are going really well until you actually reach Skeleton Homeland, where it's like 30,000 against 1. You die really quick.
Oh.
And I didn't mention earlier, but guess what? If you die in the book, you die in real life. You blew it, and you're totally dead. The end.
Excuse me? Alright. I was just reading a book. Oh man. Okay. Let's do the sword fight again.
Okay, let's do this, you say. Why not, right? It's not like you've got anything else going on. That was sarcastic. Osric leaves and then comes back immediately.
King wants to know if you'll fight him now.
He says,
He's just in there.
"Oh right, I forgot to mention. You're right outside the royal court, which is also the castle fencing room. Anyway, messenger's gonna message, right?" You say that's fine, and Osric says okay and leaves. Horatio turns to you. "Listen, man, I don't think you should do this. I don't think you're gonna win, Hamlet," he says. "Sure I am," you say. "I've been practicing fencing since the start of this story." "What?" says Horatio. And I'm saying, "What?" too. Because there have been 0 fencing scenes, like, at all. Unless you count the pirate battle. But that was more sword fighting than fencing. There's a difference, you know. They both require swordsmanship, but in the same way that poetry and essays are both writing. You realize that you were lying just now and start to feel bad about your chances. "Maybe I won't win after all," you say. I suddenly feel a sense of foreboding that would perhaps trouble a woman. Ah, jeez, Hamlet. Ah, jeez. Talk about how sometimes you say terrible things about women and how sometimes, in private moments of reflection. Listen, Horatio. Sometimes I say sexist stuff and I don't really mean it, you say, trying to salvage things. But why would you say something you don't mean? And then keep saying those things over and over again, asks Horatio. Look, Horatio, you can't judge the past by the standards of the present. Maybe in the future, we'll have more evolved attitudes, but it's unfair to judge someone from the past by those higher standards, as he or she was raised in a different cultural context. Okay, sure. So we're both in the present, says Horatio. Chicks, man. Am I right? They crazy, you say. Yes. What is the deal with over half the human population of the planet? They're definitely all 100% insane, Horatio replies sarcastically.
Me in a plane when they ask, has anyone flying skill because the co-pilot's passed, I raised my hand. Wait, what?
Stand around silently.
What I
and
flew,
wait for
they
something
asked?
to happen.
It sounds right.
You stand around for a bit. Suddenly, Claudius enters. And your mom too. And Larides. And a bunch of other people you don't know. Wow, It looks like this plot is going to advance itself whether you want it to or not. Claudius makes you and Laertes shake hands, and you apologize to Laertes as you do it. You explain that, as a victim of mental illness, you should not be held criminally responsible for your actions. And it's a very nice speech, except you are...
I'm gonna choose the
So
sword
all in all, it's sort
on
of
the
a dick move, I guess.
left.
You and Laertes settle on the swords you like and face off against each other. As you're about to begin, Claudius speaks.
Let's make this a drinking
Yeah, this is
game.
the drinking
Says.
portion. Skip it. Go for his attack his lower body.
You jab and thrust towards Laertes' lower body. He deftly parries, blocking your every attack and returning them with attacks of his own, using your own momentum against you. This isn't as easy as it was on the pirate ship. It kind of seems like Laertes really knows what he's doing. You continue fighting, and every time it looks like you might make a hit, Claudius seems really excited and raises his glass. Wow, that is one thirsty usurper to the throne. Finally, almost effortlessly, Laertes lands a glancing blow on your left shoulder. It cuts your shirt but barely breaks the skin, so hooray for thickly woven shirts, I guess. You resume the match. You try to hit Laertes, but he seems to be moving faster and faster. Or maybe you're just moving slower. In any case, it's become harder to hold him off, and eventually he manages to stab you right in the lungs. You collapse to the floor and die. Since you're dead, I can tell you that the blade was actually poisoned, and Claudius put Laertes up to it. Surprise! You are now a ghost, and you are a ghost who wants revenge on Laertes and Claudius. Unfortunately, you don't have a son to do the revenging for you, but you do have your ghost dad to help you out. Your dad saw how unfair the battle was and how well you fought anyway, and he believes you were wronged. You are a father-son revenge team from beyond the grave, and you have Calypso's Gale on your side. How can you fail? Well, it turns out the answer to that question is quite spectacularly, actually. You and your dad are talking over your failures a few weeks later in the old ghost pub. It's a pretty cozy place. There's a nice wooden sign hung behind the bar that reads, "There is nothing either good or bad, but drinking makes it so." Maybe Claudius will be a good king after all, you say, trying to put a positive spin on things. He does
Someone
seem
call the
to really
ghost.
want the throne.
What do you mean? I'm the
Maybe it's
ghost.
because he can't wait to put his revolutionary and effective socio-economic theories into practice.
I don't know.
Your dad sighs.
I don't know.
He takes a long sip of his beer, a cloudy, complex, wheat-based sour beer brewed by the ghost of an ancient Roman brewmaster who's had a millennium to practice his art. The words Carpe Servicium printed in elaborate script along the bottle's side.
What am I gonna tell your mother? I got her only child killed in some harebrained revenge scheme from beyond the grave.
That's true. Also, I kinda killed Polonius for no real reason, you say, taking a swig of your beer. A blonde ale flavored with strawberries called The Secret of the Boo-Oos that you ordered because you like the cute ninja ghost on the label. Maybe revenge is harder than it looks.
Or maybe we're just not that great at it.
Your dad says. He stares at his beer for a bit and then looks up at you.
You want to do something else with the next few decades? Something
Oh,
non-revenge?
What? You asked.
I always wanted to be a painter,
He sighs.
but I kept telling myself that the business of being king took priority. I kept saying there was never
it could be
enough
ghost
time.
painters.
That's not the case
Sounds like
anymore.
it could be good.
You say. Well, to be honest, I always wanted to live forever, with voluntary and unlimited access to powers of flight, invulnerability, and invisibility, plus the ability to phase through solid matter. That's definitely the case now. You hover above the table and phase your hand through your beer to illustrate your point. The next morning, your dad picks up a paintbrush for the first time in 40 years. He wants you to pose for him, but you're excited about your new project too, so you compromise. His first painting is one of you, a pin held in your mouth, a sewing needle in your hand, stitching together your new superhero costume.
What the fuck? What is this? What is Alright, buddy. Not to be. Hey, whoa, shit, Michael. Hello. Hey, dude. It's going good, man. It's going good. I'm doing pretty good. How are you, dude? Poisons misused. 1. Oops. Stabbed. 1. Ooh. Taste of sexism. 2. Oops. Choices made. 5. Times you were not. Bears married. Unfortunate. Wanna go? reads a book in which the author introduced pirates. I want to go to the Gravedigger pod. What are you up to today, anyway, Michael? Yeah, take me to this pod.
Yes, that is exactly what happened, you say. What about Rosencrantz and Guildenstern? He asks. They, died.
Just gonna go over to this pit. Listen to his singing. I'm gonna join in with his singing. In terms of like streaming, it's a little bit better in terms of like just like making stuff for it, I guess. Like streaming on it's pretty difficult in terms of visibility or whatever, but in terms of like being able to stream at good quality, it's a little bit easier. I think streams looking a little bit cleaner and crisper on YouTube than it does on Twitch. Yeah, but it does lack a lot of the functionality that makes Twitch good in terms of live streaming. But like, there's no like channel points. There's like no, like the emotes don't quite work out too well. Yeah, that's what I mean. The stream looks full HD. Like, you can't get this on Twitch. Yeah, you can get 7TV, which does have some emotes, but I'm hoping that one of these days that I'll eventually get access to a new plugin that it's called Truffle TV. It actually makes YouTube like live stream a little bit closer to Twitch live streaming. They do things like channel points and proper emotes, and I mean, I get access to emotes once I can monetize my YouTube channel, but that's a very long way. It's a lot harder to monetize on YouTube than it is on Twitch. Bone Zone. There's no Bone Zone. With 7TV, you will have access to global emotes and my channel emotes for 7TV, but yeah, that little dancing skeleton, unfortunately. Oh, sure. Okay, so yeah, BTTV. Yeah, okay, that works too. I just need to like pull up like. Oh, now I can see it. Yeah, okay, I can see it if I'm on this one. So like when I pull up this chat, it's a lot easier for me to see it. But it's the one thing I don't like is the one thing I don't like about this is that it's very hard for me to like not see how I'm actually doing at any given moment. Like if I look over at chat, there's no real way that I can hide the amount of viewers that are watching. So I mean, at the moment I don't really care about it because the switch over to YouTube's been it's been good in terms of I get to feel like I get to start from scratch again and do things the way I want to do it without feeling like it's a bit weird having, you know, X amount of followers on Twitch, and then I go do my own little things, and it feels like I can't get people interested. Like, I'd rather kind of do my own thing off the get-go and grow like that. And if I grow, I grow. If I don't, I don't. But I just want to do what I want to do. Like, play the games that I want to play and try to make it interesting. I don't know. This game's been pretty fun, but it's been mostly just kind of sitting there, like, waiting for something interesting to happen. But it is going through the entire Hamlet story, so yeah. Why are you troll despairing though, lazy? All right. I wanna go fucking join in with this guy singing.
The Gravedigger sings a song. It's this really nice musical interlude right in the middle of your adventure.
Beautiful.
This is great because while we've had all sorts of murders and junk, nobody has, as yet, busted out any ditties. His song is about being young and in love, and this is what he sings.
In youth when I did love, me thought it was very sweet. To contract, the time for a mighty hove, me thought there was a nothing a meet.
You join in on the singing. Just now when I did hear, your singing me thought it rad. But it's offensive, that fake Italian accent you had. The gravedigger sings his response.
I wasn't being racist. I was grunting while digging this grave. And if I can employ some contemporary slang, methinks I call you knave.
Oh man, sick burns, Hamlet. You just totally lost a lyrical battle. Suddenly, the gravedigger digs up a human skull.
Oh, ooh, skull.
You keep your distance from the gravedigger, but look at the skull intently. That skull had a tongue in it once, you say to Horatio. Yeah, says Horatio. It had jowls too, you say. Yeah, probably, says Horatio. Maybe it was a politician's skull. Ooh, or a courtier. Lord such-a-one or whoever. And look, that guy's throwing it around like it's not even a thing, you say. Lord such and such, you mean, sighs Horatio.
Yeah,
As
such
the
and
gravedigger
such.
digs up another skull.
Not such a
There
one.
are now 2 skulls here. The other skull seems pretty interesting too. You close your eyes and think very clearly. Look, other skull. Then you open your eyes and examine the other skull intently. I'm not gonna lie. From this distance, it definitely looks a lot like the first skull. You're fascinated by it, though. Maybe that other skull was a lawyer's skull, you say, nudging Horatio. Look at him now. Where's his impressive lawyer tricks now, huh?
Lord, what's his
Says
jobs?
Euphoric for the judge and jury. He's dead, says Horatio.
Thanks,
Why
Horatio.
doesn't he sue this guy for assault after he dug up his skull with a shovel if he's such a fancy lawyer, you say?
Horatio just is such a deadpan response.
Maybe it was a landowner's skull instead. Maybe he owned all this land and had all this complicated accounting for it. Huh. Is one of those accounting rules that his empty skull now gets filled up with dirt? You say. Yes. I believe that's generally what happens when you die, says Horatio.
Fuck.
You stare at him wildly, then back to the skull, then back to Horatio. Then you stare at the skull for a bit. Listen, Horatio says. Maybe you want to talk to the gravedigger for a while. I'm sure you'd find your viewpoint absolutely novel and riveting.
Alright, let's go.
Talk to gravedigger.
G'day, Mr. Gravedigger. It's good to see you.
The gravedigger and you chat back and forth. Here's a snippet of the conversation you have. Whose grave is this? You say.
It's mine.
What?
He says. I thought it was yours because you're the one lying in it, you say. Really, Hamlet? He's not lying in it. He's standing in it, digging. And if you're going for a lying down / lying untruth pun, then I'm sorry, but it's not going to,
And you're lying out of it, so it's not yours.
says the gravedigger, super proud of this dumb wordplay. He goes on.
Actually, I'm not lying. It really
Right,
is mine.
saying he's a gravedigger.
You are lying, you say before I can stop you. Because you're in it and saying it's yours, but you're alive and graves aren't for the living. Ah ha ha. Got you there.
Oh.
Riveting. This back and forth goes back and forth, and eventually it comes out that he's digging a grave for a young woman, and you, as you are an uncouth brute, ask how long he's had this job before you even ask him his name. And he says he's been working as a gravedigger since the day Hamlet was born. Hey, that's you. Crazy coincidence. You should probably say something. Tell the gravedigger you're Hamlet. Play dumb.
I'm Hamlet.
I'm Hamlet, you say.
Okay,
He says.
I'm Partario. Nice to meet you.
An awkward silence follows.
Hey,
Says the gravedigger finally.
you know that skull you were eyeing before? That's the skull of the old king's jester, Yorick. He poured a flagon of Rhenish on my head once.
Yorick? You say excited. Rhenish?
Talk about.
Talk about Yorick.
Let's talk about Rhenish.
Ah. You refer to any of several white wines from the Rhine River Valley in Germany.
Ah, yes. Refined.
Yes, says the gravedigger.
And though it was many years ago, I do recall the wine being sweet.
That makes sense, as Rhenish wines do tend to fall on the sweet side of things.
Yes, yes.
Did you know that grapes have been grown there since Roman times and their development was even promoted by Charlemagne?
I didn't.
I did not.
Says the gravedigger.
Yeah.
But did you know that there are many different varieties of grapes grown in the region, which allows it to support a wide and varied viticultural output?
Fuck.
I was not aware of that.
Come for the memes, stay for the facts.
Though I was aware that typically it's the grapes that are grown closest to the Rhine that produce the best wines, as the richer soils there allow for a more complex, subtle flavor,
Interesting.
Yes,
says the gravedigger.
I knew that, as I have tasted Rhenishes of infinite subtlety, of most excellent finish. I have chugged them down my throat 1,000 times.
Suddenly, you hear a noise. What a relief. I was really tired of hearing about wine. Investigate noises.
Sounds like the narrator is whining. Okay. And I was really... Alright, let's investigate the
You,
noises.
Horatio, and the Gravedigger investigate the noises and discover that they were caused by Gertrude, your mom, Claudius, your new dad that you swore you'd murder, Larides, Ophelia's brother.
Alright,
You haven't really hung
see
out
you,
with
lazy.
them that much, actually. A priest. Priests are ordained ministers of the church. And a coffin. Coffins are what people get buried in.
Wrong platform.
Dude, you should know this. It seems like
Hey, we
Gertrude
know
was
what cat means. We know Kappa.
wailing? Weird. You elbow your friend. Hey, you say. Look how sucky that coffin is. Look how small the ceremony is. It must have been someone who killed themselves. You know what'd be hilarious? If we stayed and watched. Listen, Hamlet, there's something you should know, Horatio says. Shh, you say. Look, that's Larides, you say to the Gravedigger. You pause and stare at him intently. Yeah, he's pretty rad, you say. Hamlet, Horatio says, don't you wonder why Larides is at a funeral? Maybe if he's here, it means it might be someone close to him who died. You cut him off. I can't eavesdrop on people in their most private moments of grief if you keep trying to have a serious conversation about a life or death matter with me, you hiss at him. Turning your attention back to Larides, you see him arguing with the priest, asking for more rights. More rights, he says. But the priest says he's done all the rights he should do already, and then some. Since this person committed suicide, called it, they don't get as many rights.
If we do any more rites, we'll profane the blessed souls of the other people buried here, he says.
You, Horatio, and the Gravedigger all wince as you glance at the skulls he's dug up. Whoops.
Yep.
Larides continues to argue with the priest.
Well, fine. Go ahead and lay her here, jerkorama priest.
Larides says.
My sis will be an angel in heaven while you're burning in hell.
They lower her body into the grave.
Some of these voices I really like.
Sister? Ophelia's dead? Ophelia's dead?
Yes. Ophelia is dead. Oops.
Ophelia's dead?
Oh my
You
god.
say out loud, shocked. The Gravedigger shrugs. He's not friends with any of these people.
Oh.
I tried to tell you,
Horatio says.
I meant to tell you earlier, but you seemed so happy to be back, and I wasn't. Look, I'm sorry, Hamlet. She passed away shortly after you left on your trip.
Gertrude and Larides and Claudius are still unaware that you're here. Gertrude throws flowers on her grave.
This is the
saying
one that I
she always
wanted to
hoped
kind of...
Ophelia would marry you, and that instead, she'd be throwing flowers on her wedding bed. Jeez, Gertrude. Inappropriate.
I really want to
Something
select one of these other
for
options,
newlyweds.
but
Larides curses 3 times whomever it was who robbed Ophelia of her sand.
I didn't want to.
Then curses them again 10 times, 3 times for a total of 33 curses. Then he jumps into the grave so that he might hold her in his arms once more. Geez, Larides, that's like double inappropriate to the power of 3 for a total of 8 inappropriates. Okay, so they're all really upset and acting crazy. The right thing to do here is go home, approach them later, and say you saw them at the funeral but didn't want to interrupt. Also, it'll give you a chance to deal with your grief too, which you should be feeling. You are feeling it, aren't you, Hamlet? She was your sweetie, and you've come back from a trip to find her dead of apparent suicide.
What do we do? Let's be Ophelia.
You're certain. You want to be Ophelia, even though you just saw her coffin get lowered into the ground.
Yes.
It's okay, I've got a plan. On second thought, keep being Hamlet, go home, and talk to everyone later. On third thought, keep being Hamlet, step from the shadows, and introduce yourself dramatically.
Yeah, I've got a... Don't worry, I've got a plan.
Okay, you are Ophelia. You are dead.
Oh.
Surprise, I wasn't joking. The end.
Alright. I had a plan. I was going to be Ophelia, rise from the grave, and just basically go like, oh... It was just a prank, guys. There's one thing I wanted to kind of do on this one. I'm just going to skip through.
Yes.
Alright, we're going to skip through this a little bit.
The great... You keep your
There's one specific line that I really want to say. I want to use. Let's play dumb.
Eh.
Doesn't really matter.
Ah,
So we're gonna step from out of the shadows to introduce
You
ourselves.
step out of the shadows of the graveyard, leaving Horatio and the gravedigger behind. Who's the men whose grief is so extreme, whose words of sorrow can make even the stars themselves stand still and wonder in sadness at what they hear? It's me, Hamlet the Dane. Then you hop into the grave, joining Larides there. Why not? Emotions are a competition, right? Larides sees you and screams in rage.
The devil take thy soul.
He shouts, which, I mean, if you're going to yell anything, it's pretty much the awesomest and classiest thing to yell at a time and place like this. And with that, you fight. That's right. You and Larides fight. In a graveyard. During a funeral. In an open grave. With the coffin of Ophelia at your feet. This is how you choose to live your life. Larides punches you in the teeth, and you stagger back until you collide with the muddy grave wall. You raise your eyes up to Larides, wiping blood from your mouth with the back of your hand. You glance down at your bloodied hand. That's a funny way to pray, you say, and laugh. Larides looks at you. Here's how I do it. You jump at him, forcing your head into his chest as hard as you can. He falls backwards, winded, gasping for air. Our Father, you say, your left fist connecting with his cheek. Who art in heaven? Here, your right fist collides in a punishing blow with his jaw. Hallowed be thy... His arms shoot out and encircle your throat, and before you can react, he squeezes. You see stars dance around the edge of your vision. You don't want to.
This is the one I wanted to talk about.
Larides only squeezes tighter.
Now why's that, Hamlet?
He says, smirking, mock concern written on his face. You lock eyes with him. There's something dangerous inside of me, and you should be afraid of it, you say. I am. You shouldn't make me angry, Larides. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Larides laughs at you, and you feel almost giddy. You can feel yourself losing control. You can feel yourself starting to want it. I won't tell you again, little man, you say, unsure if you're threatening him or pleading with him. Take your hands off. Turn into a gamma-irradiated monster.
Yes.
You embrace the madness. You feel your clothes tearing as your body changes, becoming larger, monstrous. Colossal muscles move under skin that's rapidly darkening to a vibrant shade of
Yes.
blue.
This is what happened.
Seconds ago, the dirt walls of Ophelia's grave surrounded you on all sides. Now, looking down, you see your massive legs barely contained within it. The world seems smaller, punier. Throughout all this, Larides has hung onto your throat, trying to choke you.
Hamlet no like chokey man.
You say, picking him up and flinging him over a distant grove of trees.
Hamlet no like anyone who interfere with Hamlet's concept of personal agency.
You jump out of the grave and land on the ground with a huge crash.
Yeah, from reading Hamlet.
Claudius
Yeah.
by the head.
Ghost tell Hamlet to kill King Man. Hamlet not scared of ghosts, but does as he asks under own volition.
Claudius's head pops like a grape.
Ew, gross.
You say. Gertrude says,
Whoa!
I always knew you had a gamma-irradiated monster inside you. Just waited to come out and save me when the moment was
What
right.
the fuck?
Horatio and the gravedigger rush up beside you and say you're the most awesome dude ever. Suddenly you feel woozy.
Hamlet have to sit down.
You say,
Hamlet feel dizzy, as if all of this is elaborate fantasy Hamlet's oxygen-starved brain entertaining itself with, just before Hamlet is choked to death.
That's crazy.
says Ophelia. What? Yeah, she's still alive. She's stepping out of her coffin.
Don't be silly, Hamlet.
She says, reaching
Oh
towards
my
you.
god.
Everything's fine, my love. Everything is beautiful, and nothing hurts.
And the funny thing is, she's right. You kiss her, and it's almost like that one single kiss lasts the rest of your life. The end.
What the fuck is this? There's a fucking ghost stand up there. I love the ghost stand. Oh my god. Alright, that was worth it. Oh my god, that was fan-fucking-tastic. And there was also this really weird section. Which one was it? where he meets his ghost dad. I think it's like shortly after this.
Don't freak out, but right now you're staring cold in the face of a
Okay, let's run away.
You make a break for it, screaming like a little baby, and Horatio does the same. Holy cow, holy cow, holy cow, you say, jumping over a boulder and hiding behind it. Man, that was intense, Horatio says, a hand on his chest. You both sit for a moment, each trying to catch your breath. Hey, let's go back and see if he's still there, Horatio says. Go back and check out... Don't freak out, but right now you're staring cold in the face of a specter.
Wait, is this gonna be...
You can imagine how crazy this whole situation is. If you're getting too scared, read this next clause over and over until you're not insane with fear anymore. Everything will be okay. Alright, okay, we can do this. With your last shred of sanity, you quickly glance at the ghost, and then you worry that if you stare at the ghost too hard, your brain will realize it's looking at something so insanely impossible that you'll just black out. Anyway, this ghost.
Okay, alright, we'll go...
Are you my dad? I mean, my ghost dad? You ask the ghost, but it says nothing. Instead, the ghost beckons to you. He clearly wants you to follow him and leave Horatio behind. I don't know. Is this safe? Can ghosts kill people? Can ghosts kill people? You ask Horatio. I don't know, man, but I really don't think you should be alone with that thing, he says, clearly leaving No Ball untripped in his own freakout. Hamlet, man, something is rotten in the state of Denmark. I gotta say, he yells, his quivering finger pointing at the ghost. Well, duh. I'm gonna do it, you say, and you follow the ghost into darkness. Go on to say, by that I mean, I'm going to take this last chance to run for it.
Let's run for it.
You make a break for it, but trip over Horatio, who is also making a break for it in the opposite direction. You collide into each other and fall, hitting your head on a rock for good
I'm
measure.
sure that's fine.
Is this funny?
You hear the ghost say as you fade from consciousness.
I don't know if this is supposed to be funny.
Months later, you come to.
Oh,
Not much has changed. Your
Cool.
mom is still married to your uncle, and Horatio tells you the ghost kept coming by for a while, but eventually seemed to lose interest in the whole thing.
Okay.
He asks what you're going to do now. You're not sure. The funeral and wedding you came back home for are long over. It's probably time you get back to the business of living your life.
Yeah.
So, what do you want to do with it?
What do we do with our life?
Get serious with Ophelia.
Ooh.
Go back to school.
Do we go get serious with Ophelia or go back to school? That's a good question. School is lame. Let's go back to school though.
You go back to Wittenberg U.
Yeah.
A few years into your studies, you and Ophelia break it off. Long distance was just too hard.
Yeah.
With her out of the picture, you don't go home much anymore. You feel bad about it, but it's too weird being around Uncle Dad all the time. And besides, he was never the kind of person you would have described as extremely non-creepy. You drift apart from Horatio and Rosencrantz and Guildenstern too, as you start hanging out with your new school friends a lot more. You spend most of your time with one guy in particular, T.J. Macbeth.
Oh.
You're unlikely friends. He, a jock. You, president of the philosophy club. But that doesn't stop you. Friends is friends. In your sophomore year, you get a place together, just a few minutes off campus, and he starts calling you by a nickname, Banquo.
What?
He laughs whenever you ask for an explanation, and eventually you just get used to it. Anyway, after graduation, neither of you can find work, so he invites you to come back home to Scotland with him. He says his dad can get you both some pretty good jobs high up in the army. He says there's a lot of possibility there for advancement. You accept. You never do return to Denmark.
What?
The end.
What? Okay. Alright, interesting. And that's basically Banquo from Macbeth. It's now law. I think there's a couple more in here that I think
let's
I
do
can
this, you say.
I can go through on this bit.
talk about free.
To talk about the sexist thing you said on the last page.
Listen,
Ah.
Horatio. You stand around.
Okay, so let's just pick the rights. Let's pick the sword in the middle.
You and Larity settle on the sword.
Okay. Go for his upper body.
You decide to.
Okay. Go for his lower body this time.
You aim for his lower body, and Larity's
Nice.
got you. You say.
Okay, okay.
Alright. Say what?
What? You poisoned the cup? You yell. Your mother looks towards Claudius, shocked.
Get him.
She says, and then shoves her fingers down her own throat, trying to induce vomiting. It works. It actually works. Explosively well. You advance on Claudius with your sword. I came here to assume the throne and get distracted by sword fights, you say. And I'm all out of getting distracted by sword fights,
It was an accident.
Claudius says.
I only meant to poison you.
He glances frantically towards Larity's.
Finish him.
He shouts. You spin and see Larity's looking at you, his sword still drawn. Et tu, Larites? You say. And though you don't know it, you've just approximately quoted another exciting book in this series. Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. You are Julius Caesar and you must now choose your own adventure while you deal with that. Available at a bookseller near you. Larites hesitates.
Hamlet, the tip of my sword is poisoned, but it was Claudius's idea.
He says.
Look, I think things kinda got out of hand. Claudius made me blame you for a lot of stuff that's happened recently. He made me want to kill you. I don't know.
He pauses, looking at your mother, who is on her hands and knees, now just throwing up bile.
I don't think I feel that way anymore.
He says. He offers you his sword. Keep it, you say.
Wait,
Reaching into your pocket,
wait,
you pull the cherry bomb you
what
created
the
secretly
fuck?
well on Calypso's scale.
Excuse-
Yes,
When did I?
secretly. I didn't even tell you that you'd created them, and you know why? Because then you would have wanted a use cherry bombs on whoever you're talking to
It's-
and or every single thing in the room.
Yeah,
if
fair.
possible. And we'd never have made it this far.
Yeah, fair enough.
Don't even look at me like you don't know that's 1,000,000% true, Hamlet.
Yeah, fair enough.
Besides, you say, as you light the cherry bombs and toss them out the window, signaling for Calypso's Gale to start firing her cannons at the castle. Everyone knows you shouldn't bring a sword to a cannon fight. Claudius stares at you, uncomprehending. Larites, Horatio, assorted bystanders. Now is a really good time to be somewhere else, you shout as you rush towards your mother. Supporting her on your shoulder, you begin to lead her out of the castle. Claudius tries to push past you too. No, you wait here, you say, impaling him through the chest and pinning him to the wall. He tries to pull the sword free, so you pick up the other swords Osric offered you earlier, now lying forgotten on the ground, and stab each of his hands into the castle walls
Jeez,
as
that's
well.
brutal.
You support your mother down the hallway, but as you reach the stairs leading down to the exit, your mother pushes away from you and stands uncertainly, finally supporting herself with one hand against the wall. She turns to look back at the impaled Claudius and wipes the vomit from her mouth with the sleeve of her dress. Claudius looks up and meets her gaze.
Stick around.
She says, and he loves her more than ever. The end.
Jesus Christ. What the? What is this? What is this drink? Oh no. Welcome back. Welcome back, Lazy. I think I won this game. Oh, you're working your resume. Awesome, dude. You applying for a job tomorrow? Oh, shit. What job are you looking at? Let's introduce the... Go back to the pirate scene.
Thank you. Thank you. You're too kind. Let me set the scene. You, Rosencrantz, and Guildenstern rush above decks at the sound of the lookout yelling,
Ooh.
"Pirates ho!"
User experience
Following
designer
his arm
post.
pointing to the
Awesome.
horizon, you see a ship
Hopefully you
sailing
get it, bro.
directly towards you with alarming speed. Her disguise of a Danish flag being lowered as a black flag with a grinning skull and
'Cause you
crossbones
just fresh up?
unfurls in its place.
Fresh out of there.
Pretty badass. Behind her, a huge
The-
storm has gathered. lightning
Have they?
striking into
Can you
the
see how
sky.
much they're
Both
offering
straight for
in
you.
terms of pay,
She's
or
a
is that
magnificent
something that
ship.
they
Two
kind of
massive
want you to
running 50
negotiate
meters
if
long
you
from
do
bow to stern.
it, like in the?
She slices cleanly through the sea with the wind filling
Yeah.
her sails. 1,400 tons of boat, a symphony of wood, cloth, brass, and iron. She's as tall as she is long, with each of her masts proudly carrying 4 gargantuan rectangular sails. Rigging of baffling complexity stretches between each mast, its crossbars, and the side of her hull. She carries 26 cannons on her port side and 26 on her starboard, each loaded and at the ready, and she's running with her gun ports open. She also sails with 2 forward-facing cannons.
Okay,
mounted on
you
her
got to
bow,
negotiate because they
beneath
didn't
which
mention it.
protrudes the
Fair
beautifully
enough.
carved figure of a mermaid. Over 150 strong and able men, all pirates, call her home. The painted and polished red wooden letters affixed to her hull betray her name, Calypso's Gale. You, on the other hand, are on a party boat.
Because you're gonna need the
HDMS
experience.
Vesselmania 4.
Experience
Your
is the
boat
main
a
thing.
mere 100 tons. Her armaments a slight
I guess there's plenty of time to earn money later on, but
smaller masts bear a single triangular
you need to
sail
get that
each. Her
foot in
crew
the
of
door.
20 is inexperienced and young. Her captain, with whom you've had only a passing acquaintance, seems fresh out of captain school, if that is even a thing. He's there at your side now, barking orders left and right. Men haul up the sails and run below decks to prepare the cannons. It is a scene of barely controlled chaos, and that's when you hear the first report of cannon fire. Both shots hit their target. The pirates are firing chain shot, 2 cannonballs tied together with a length of heavy chain, stuffed into a single cannon, designed to tear apart sails and rigging as they blast through it. The first shot tears apart some of the rigging on your forward sail, but luckily, nothing critical is damaged. The second shot hits low, and instead of tearing into the sails, it decapitates the captain in an instant. His headless, bloody body
146
drops at your feet. Pirate.
146
Yes, well,
bucks.
The bad news is they're not messing around.
146
Rosencrantz and
bucks,
Guildenstern take one
like
look
a-
at the bloody corpse
a
of the
day?
captain lying
A
at their
week?
feet
A
and
month?
rush
An
to the
hour?
decks, tripping over each other on their way down the ladder. The first mate is staring at the captain's body in shock. A huge burst of lightning flashes across the darkening sky, and rain begins to fall on Vesselmania's deck. Calypso's Gale is gaining on you, and her forward cannons are being reloaded. The distance between the 2 ships is decreasing by the second. That's right. Why be a hero in your own story? Better to be a supporting character in somebody else's. You go below decks and wait. Eventually, a cannonball slices through the wall and into your belly, and rather than killing you instantly,
That's 12k, so
it
it's
kills you
good for a
gruesomely
refresher,
enough
I feel, a
slowly
month.
enough that when you
146
finally
bucks a
die
month.
10 minutes later, you actually kind of wish it had happened instantly.
Oh.
The shock of watching you die with a big old hole in your belly pushes Rosencrantz and Guildenstern into action, and they eventually capture the pirate ship in an amazing display of daring do that I wish I could describe to you, but you're dead. I can't be seen talking to a corpse. That's crazy. People
Alright.
will think I'm crazy. The
All
end.
right. Yeah, that's pretty fair, man. I definitely recommend getting that experience, because once you got that experience, it's a little bit easier to maybe go for something a little bit different. Because I know you want to go work, like move overseas and work in a different country. Alright. I don't know, I think I've kind of tapped this game for everything that I want to get out of it for now. I think I might actually wrap up at this point. So yeah, like it was great fun getting all that through, like playing that. Definitely recommend it. Sorry, lazy man, but yeah, it was a very fun game. It was also really cheap on Steam. Like it was really only a couple of bucks, and you know, played it for a couple of hours. So yeah, look, it's not there's not like a crazy amount of content in there, but you know, it's worth like a couple of bucks. It's, you know, less than a cup of coffee. So yeah, it was cool. All right, but I'm gonna wrap up now, and I'll probably be wonder what I'm gonna be doing. I'm trying to work out what I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. But I'll catch you guys later. Bye.